All right, good Thursday morning, everybody. We have an issue here at NRG Media in Omaha, Nebraska. Now a city, by the way, that has 1 million people in population.
Oh, let's go.
We're a big deal.
We are a big deal.
Big deal in
There's
Omaha.
a lot of big deals. We're just a bunch of walking big deals here at 1620 The Zone in
Whoa.
NRG Omaha.
I know. I thought the same thing, too. I was like,
I'm a big deal.
Let's go.
I just looked at you
Jimmy's
for
a
the first
big
time.
deal. You're a big deal. They're talking about us everywhere. We're the point of emphasis places.
It is Bring Your Kid to Work Day. Wow, you look like you're 12 years old.
What are you talking about? You
don't
shaved.
like...
Oh, you do? You
Yeah,
just
you
noticed
shaved.
that?
Yeah.
I did notice that, too. I wasn't
We've
going to
been
say
here
it.
talking
For the last like 6 minutes before the show.
I've been getting ready for the show, and I looked, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, she shaved.
Do you
look like...
Do you like it?
No, because I think I like you with some scruff.
Okay.
You do pull off the scruff.
Yeah,
You like
you got to get a good-looking scruff
You like the
vibe.
in-between.
Yeah. That's
I think I look better in the in-between as well.
Yeah.
But the problem is that, and this is with my hair on top of my head and in general.
Okay.
We get to the point where it's too much, right? Where it's just too long. And then
Gee, I miss those days.
And then it gets like the nice thing with the top part is that I get a little lettuce in the back, like the wings come out. So then I look then I look really, really good. But the problem with the beard, is we max out. I'm way too patchy. So you're right. I'm probably better with the scruff. But what do you mean I look like a kid? I look handsome, man.
You look young.
Join
What time's
the
the date?
Join the YouTube chat. Come look at me. I look good right now.
That's great. All
Tomorrow I will look bad.
With
Sad
that attitude?
because the shadow. I get the 5 o'clock shadow. I don't look good with. Tomorrow I'll look bad. Saturday I'll be meh, but I'll be prime. I'll be prime.
So you've been ready for March Madness.
Yeah, there we go.
You're working. All right, but today it is Bring Your Kid to NRG Day.
I didn't get the memo. Mine's still asleep in the bed at home.
Oh, can you bring your kid to NRG? Jimmy, I want to see your dog.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Why?
She's asleep.
Well, no, I mean like in general, like in the future.
I post. That's all I post on social media nowadays. So
is your dog?
Yeah. Although I haven't posted anything in like a year. So
I don't follow you on social media.
That's what you're not missing anything.
My bad, radio mate. I don't follow.
Jimmy does not have Twitter, or he has people. He's what are you, private?
What is that? What it's called? Yeah,
private?
we have to follow requests, all that stuff.
Here's my thing.
I didn't tweet any. I didn't complain about the late basketball last night. I said, you know what? We can't do that. This is a time of the year where we have to suspend that and enjoy the ball, and I did.
It's working because yesterday I tried going.
Win last night.
Yeah,
you weren't kidding. That was a close game.
It's working because yesterday I tried going on Instagram. I counted 5 different times, but I deleted the app.
Yeah.
So like now I'm getting off of it. I'm trying
to TikTok.
You're getting off the gram?
I'm off the gram because I got to be more productive. I got to read the articles. I got to look at the scores. I got to watch it. It's too distracting. It's taking away from my sports intake. Not a joke. Okay. I get addicted to the reels and I just brain rot. You know, like the kids say. You know, it's all lit and everything like that. I'm just brain rot
videos
all day. I'm just getting dumber and dumber by the second on Instagram. Yeah. So I deleted it.
I missed the last couple of days. I haven't done any doom scrolling before I've gone to bed. Like I missed my TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok in a couple of days. I don't know what's going on in the world. I do know this though. As I look out here, this might be the day that we have a special day here at NRG Media.
Ooh, I like this. I like where this is
going.
The
sign, which is right here on Dodge, which the sign is probably older than the building, and the sign isn't the greatest. Like
it's seen better days.
Yeah, the graphics are a little bit older. It's tough to update. It looks like it might be on its last days.
Finally?
Yeah.
We get a new one. Get a manual.
We thought the drunk driver during the College World Series a couple of years ago that plowed into our parking lot would take out the sign.
I forgot
But the sign survived. It's like a cockroach. It's like nuclear war. The cockroach and a Twinkie will survive.
Hanging it on.
Our sign is still going, but the other side, I came on the other side of Dodge, and yes, I turned left off Dodge to get into our parking lot.
There's nobody here.
Come get me.
Wow.
I'm a rebel today.
Bad boys.
The sign looks like it's in trouble because the other side is all pixelated.
Is it?
Yeah.
What is more likely to happen? They just tear it down, or they actually build a new one? I mean,
neither.
You know this place. They will continue to feed money into that empty well.
Look at the Crossroads
marquee. You know what? It still turns on, but it could be great. Like we could sell advertising on it. We could do our show live. You know, you'd have a live stream as people are driving. You know, you get traffic backed up here, but I noticed it might be the last day of the sign, the famous NRG Media sign.
Can we
right here at about 50th and Dodge?
Can we auction it off like South Stadium? You know how like people talked about like auctioning off, like
we do have
pressing the
listeners
button
that
to demolish the South Stadium. Can we auction off the button to press to demolish the sign?
We
could sell it.
I don't think there's a sentimental thing on there.
Is there?
They've never put my name up there.
They're just waiting till you're more established.
That was real petty from you.
Well,
you're like, I've been here for so long. I've been a staple of the station.
Sweet 98 people, they have their name up there.
Mm-hmm. And they've changed that.
Why don't we have Gary and Matt up there?
Why don't? That's a
Maybe
great question.
because you can't change the sign. And Meg and Jason have been on the air for what, a couple years?
Yeah.
How would one even change the sign?
Well,
I imagine someone would probably have to go in the sign to probably change
what is it. Microsoft 98 program downstairs.
Something like that. Yeah, you put that AOL disk.
No. So I lost my key card a month into doing this, and then what happened was that I lost it. I needed to get one right away because you have to enter the building. I ended up finding the other key card, and they go, "Hey, by the way, can we get the other key card back because we don't have too many of these because of Microsoft 98 system that's downstairs." I thought it was a joke,
and we still can't give John Schreiner one.
He doesn't have a key card?
No.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there's a limited supply apparently. They need all the ones that they can get. No, it's a
sad day. Sad day. The sign may be on its last legs.
Do you think it'll?
Well, what a beautiful day for it to die. 80 degrees, sun, basketball.
Is there a beautiful day to die?
Hey. Wow, you two go into timeout. First of all, the way you think about things is very...
It's a beautiful day for the sign to die. I'm in a good mood. I think it's going to be a great day.
Right. It's going to be a great day.
There's basketball at 11:30.
Oh my God. 3 days from now is Selection Sunday, where in the Big O, a million people live here, by the way. In the Big O, we will have 2 teams that will be announced, Kraton and Omaha. Selection shows have been set. Hors d'oeuvres have been ordered.
Ooh.
Yes. One's at Mammal Hall.
Foie gras?
No, nobody in this town of 1 million people.
Really? 1 million people live here? Had no clue.
I was listening to another radio show driving in, and they were like, "Man, Omaha's got 1 million people." And the female host goes, "Oh, I can tell it by the Dodge Expressway."
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, "Come on now."
Confuse it for the 405.
What are we doing here?
That is such a snarky statement. Like, yeah, no, today's 980. It's 980 today. In 2 weeks, I feel like it's 1 million. Is it 1 million right now? Look at this.
Well, it takes me
33 minutes to get to South Omaha as opposed to my 31. There must be 25,000 more people.
Selection Sunday right around the corner. There is Kraton basketball in the zone tonight. They play DePaul.
Good call, Matt.
They play the Blue Demons at 6 o'clock here on the zone, also on FS1. What a day of basketball yesterday. Mike Breen had a double bang.
Yeah.
Mikal Bridges hit a game-winning shot. Knicks didn't play very well, but they beat Portland. And so Mike Breen went with a rare double bang. We had
inflation's affecting everything.
We had an incredible, wild, you'll be talking about it for years, finish at the boys state basketball tournament yesterday in Lincoln in Class A between Southeast and North Star. And your Kansas Jayhawks held on there in overtime.
Against long storied conference
UCF.
rival.
Also, one other thing, if you stay up. So this is what I have.
A lot of bitterness between the two programs.
There's so much history.
Does Johnny Dawkins still coach UCF?
So many incredible moments. I mean,
yes,
former Spurs great?
What is your favorite moment of the UCF Kansas rivalry?
Oh, it'll probably be Jason Bean running all over him way back in 2023.
It's probably yesterday is your favorite moment. Probably the only moment.
Actually, Devin Neal had like 200-something yards.
What's your favorite moment of the Cal-Stanford ACC rivalry?
The fact that I can talk about Jason Kidd and Mark Madsen are legends of the ACC.
Yeah. Jesus.
Then we get SMU is playing. Who are they playing?
I had that line.
That is your typical ACC matchup.
Do I have that line? I know what. No,
SMU and Notre Dame. That would be about.
And then, so this is what I've done as I'm, trying to figure out the whole path to get to a 14 for Omaha. I'm watching a lot of like other low to mid-major tournaments. I love the fact, absolutely embrace the fact that the Big Sky Championship is called Starch Madness. I think that is the greatest branding is Starch Madness. And you think it's a joke.
And they went all in on it, which is great.
I know. Like you just don't like throw it out there. You have like invested in that the Big Sky tournament is called Starch Madness. I love it. We didn't get any love last night in the game where UNC, which is not North Carolina, but Northern Colorado, lost.
Bears.
But no, I'm watching. Like last night, I'm rooting for Navy. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm usually an Army guy.
Sure.
I think I am more of an Army person.
I am as well. My buddies, I have more friends in the Army than I do in the Navy.
Yeah, but I wanted Navy to win last night, and then they were losing, and I was like, I started cussing out the Navy.
Yeah, they didn't have David Robinson anymore.
You start cutting things. They got to be better. So like I'm breaking down Maine. I'm like, can Maine help Omaha? So this is what I'm dialed into. Everybody else is like into the big conferences.
This is what sports is about. This is great.
I'm like, you know what? I want to look and see if Northern Colorado can knock off Montana and what that would do to Omaha City. Could Omaha get to a 14? But they are sitting at a 15. But the big news out of college basketball last night, some of you may be waking up this morning to this show, and we are so grateful for that.
Yes, welcome to another day.
But last night at 1 a.m., which was really not last night, was this morning.
Yeah.
To some, it depends on how your body clock works and how your lifestyle works.
Sure.
Some might say, oh, yeah, it was a little while ago. Others might say it was late last night.
That was last night.
Okay.
That was last night.
There used to be a time where I saw a lot of 1 a.m. just because of the job I was in. Now, if I'm seeing 1 a.m., there's something wrong. Ben Johnson is out as the head basketball coach at Minnesota after they lost to the academic team from Evanston.
Yes.
Yesterday in
Indianapolis.
What a day for you,
boys.
Cats and the Blue Demons.
I know. Chicago is riveting right now. It's rocking right now. You got your college basketball taking over the 4th largest city in the world. It's awesome.
But Ben Johnson,
Bulls and Hawks.
Ben Johnson, after 4 years at Minnesota, is out. Interesting statement from the athletic director, but it was put out at 1 a.m., which tells me that this was already something that their mind was made up. Once the season was over, they were going to move on from Ben Johnson after 4 years. There's a lot to look at Minnesota that impacts when you look at like a Nebraska or other schools that are kind of in that area. But now we'll see what people think of this job and what they do with this job and what Ben Johnson does. Because could Ben Johnson go somewhere and be good and you go, oh, there's something wrong at Minnesota? Because Richard Pitino, who didn't, he got to the NCAA tournament, but he was not the wow guy.
He wasn't Clem Haskins.
Up at the barn. He goes to New Mexico and he does pretty well.
So this, first off, 1 o'clock press release. Do you think they already packed up all the stuff from his office and had it in his car when he got off the tarmac?
Well, that's why I say his the mind was made up, and so you already know that you're going to move on, and probably you've already had this discussion. Like there is in the season of the unfortunateness of coaches being fired. A lot of the times you have already let the coach know.
Yeah,
like before they get to the end of the year, you've had that discussion. Hey, we're gonna part ways when the season is over. You hear that a lot. I imagine that there was some type of discussion that went on. So you do this. I don't know why they couldn't have waited until like 8 this morning.
Neither can I. I don't get that.
But they did it at 1 a.m. It's not like it's not like at 2 a.m. they're contacting candidates out there. Hey, Craig Smith, I know you're unemployed right now. Would you like to stop into Minneapolis and have another 9-hour interview for this job?
It looked at some point
mine for here was 20 minutes.
He might have been able to right the ship here and keep his job, but I feel like the writing was kind of on the wall after he lost to Penn State and Northwestern. I mean, he won 3 out of 4. He had beat USC, UCLA, and Penn State, but when he lost those back-to-back games before Minnesota beat Nebraska, it was kind of set in stone at this point that they were going to move on from Ben Johnson. But I want to read this statement.
I think they were ready to move on from Ben Johnson when the season started.
Well, so there you go. That's exactly what this is about. Because at the bottom of the statement from the athletic director, Mark Coyle, he goes, "This is an extremely desirable job in one of the best conferences and cities in the nation, and we fully expect to compete at the highest level on and off the court. We provide a world-class experience for our student athletes. We have one of the best practice facilities, play at a historic venue. We offer everything that is needed to be successful. And we will immediately begin a nationwide search for our next men's basketball head coach." I disagree. And it goes from that. They were ready to move off Ben Johnson from the beginning of the season because they just don't invest in basketball at the rate you should as a Big Ten conference. Yes, they paid a lot to get Dawson Garcia back. They paid to get Parker Fox back. But outside of that, it seems like every year Ben Johnson was just, it was a brand new team. They weren't willing to keep guys. You could not invest in guys. You could not develop guys. You could not actually build a program. And this is a program in Minnesota, just in general. They're counting down the days till rev share, where they don't have to rely on donors in their NIL situation to continue to pay players.
Now, NIL still exists.
Well, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. that's still a factor, and that's still going to add on to things. It's going to make life a little bit easier for Minnesota when rev share comes into play. NIL will still be a factor, which is still why I don't think this is a desirable job. I really don't. I don't think it matters at this point that you play at a nice arena and that you play in a big city. Like, I do. It matters about the money. It matters about what you invest in. It matters about what you care about.
So I know you're on this thing, and I keep saying you got to separate this. So Ben Johnson, who had no head coaching experience before getting this job, and he came back to his alma mater. Look at his salary. Is his salary not in the goods part of the Big Ten? It's not like it's at the bottom of the Big Ten for a guy. So that's the investment.
Yeah.
You keep saying the investment, and you got to separate the investment and the NIL, because the NIL is separate. I'm going to pound this home. The NIL is, do you believe in the head coach? Okay. You're telling me that if you have a really good head coach, that people that support a name, image, likeness collective that they believe in, they're not going to donate. A lot of the NIL, and we say, well, they only have 1.5 million. They only have 1.7 million. A lot of it has to do with the head coach. If you believe in the head coach, you're going to invest in it. The University of Minnesota has invested in basketball. Could they do more? I don't know enough about their budget. I just know what their salary is. Now, the Nebraska job is actually a better job, and people might say I'm crazy because you go, whoa, the land of 10,000 basketball courts. Look at all the high school talent up there. But you know what? Nebraska has a better arena. Williams Arena, and I kind of like Williams Arena, but Williams Arena is outdated, and you can't recruit to Williams Arena. There's nobody there. It's a cave. Yeah. You can recruit to Pinnacle Bank Arena. Now, this isn't a Nebraska versus Minnesota discussion, but it's a good comparison. But it kind of is. It's an interesting job because if you look at names that have gone after it, they're not wow names. They're good Midwestern, oh, that's Minnesota names. There's another factor in the whole looking at Minnesota. Again, they had their mind made up. Even when I was up there in November, you were like, oh, man, Ben's got to get to blank, blank, blank. And they got off, they were kind of slow a little bit, and they'd lost a lot of players. And they, I don't know that they keep Dawson Garcia if he's not a local kid. Yeah. So they lose him. I mean, they lost some considerable talent because other schools were paying them. But if I came to you as a booster, Matt, and I said, hey, we got a really good freshman guard that Texas Tech is trying to get. This is what he wants. If you believe in me and believe in my program, you're going to invest, right? Okay.
I agree with that. Okay. And you bring up a great point. I really do think that's a great point. You have to look at it from another perspective. To look at it is this. If I'm a head coach looking at Minnesota, okay, and I'm looking at it, is it a job that I want to take? I think that is a factor that you have to consider is, do I think I can get money from the boosters? Do I think that I can be attractive enough to the boosters to get this money that I do need from the NIL, right? NIL isn't just like a privilege. It's not a right. It's not just something you're going to walk into and you're automatically going to get. Yes, you as a head coach have to kind of encourage people. Hey, give me money. Hey, I can do this. Hey, I can earn this. But I think from like a Minnesota perspective, as opposed from a program like SMU or Texas Tech or one of those, programs where they'll just give you money, you have to look at the job and say, hey, can I get the money? Is this going to be something that I can, try and encourage people to do?
You believe in yourself.
Exactly. Okay. And I think
so. You would, if you were thinking that, you wouldn't be pursuing that job.
I think that when you're considering other jobs, when you're looking across as, do I want to take this job as opposed to taking this job, is like, how much investment is it going to take from myself to these boosters to get the resources that I need? When you look at a job like Minnesota, there definitely is more of that aspect that you have to dive into than other jobs maybe you can take. And so maybe that's why I kind of say it's a less desirable job, because of the effort that it will take to try and encourage these people, because it's just not a, hey, hand over fist, here's the money, go and win type of program. And frankly, there are very few programs that are like that. And those jobs are really, really hard to get. Yeah. So it's all about deciding whether or not where you want to go. But in terms of turning the roster over, it's tough in that regard.
I think there's also the part of this, and I've had some interaction with Ben, and Ben was an assistant at Nebraska. He's a good guy. Probably this being his first major job was not the right one. When you look at some of the candidates, I mean, Craig Smith interviewed for 9 hours. He wanted that job. Tim Miles coveted that job. I mean, Tim Miles probably thought he could go to San Jose State and come back to the Midwest when the Minnesota job opened. That's not going to happen. Does Minnesota strike you as a place that's going to go get a Will Wade? who won the Southland Conference. No, but there is part of all of this discussion about coaches and do they have an investment and is it above them? Does it start at the top? And so you can't be successful. We also have to ask the question about coaches that struggle because we praise coaches that win. Sometimes you're just not a very good coach in a not a good situation. It's not a good situation for you. I truly believe that Ben Johnson will get hired somewhere eventually, and it will be at a mid-major program, and he will be successful. He just was not successful at Minnesota. Sometimes you're not a good coach. And we are so afraid sometimes to look at a guy's record, instead go, well, this is what they don't have. Well, you're hired to be a coach. Okay, you're not hired to be a fundraiser. You're hired to be a coach. Okay, and coaching goes to construct the roster. Yeah, there's money involved in this new day.
No, you're right.
But sometimes you have to coach, okay? You have to coach. You have to get guys better. You have to develop guys better. And your record is what your record is. Instead of going, well, he didn't have the resource. You know what? What's his Big Ten record? 22-69?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not the right situation. You're just not a very good coach, and they don't give you enough time to prove that you are a good coach, and they move on from you. But you try and figure out is why they can't win. Is that them? Is that above them? And then, because Minnesota's issue, and again, I don't know enough about the inner details of their alignment. Why can Richard Pitino leave Minnesota and be successful? Would it change our opinion about Nebraska basketball and the current situation with Fred if Tim Miles had gone to San Jose State and had done well? San Jose State's kind of struggling a little bit.
So another aspect I think
that court they
that you have to fold in all this, and especially with like Ben Johnson, where he didn't have any prior head coaching experience like before getting this job, is that this when you work your way up as you go from a mid-major to maybe a bigger mid-major to then go into the Big Ten, you make connections, you meet assistant coaches, you meet recruiters, you build relationships not only with people you work with, but other people that you work with. And then as your kind of Rolodex of assistants and recruiters, develops, that makes you a better coach. That makes you a better program. And then when you get to the heap of being in a power conference, you're able to open up that book and say, okay, who do I know that's going to be able to fit in this program, that's going to help me be able to succeed here? I think that Ben Johnson just not having head coaching experience, and I don't know Ben, and I'm sure Ben has plenty of connections before he got to Minnesota, but definitely not as much as coaches who had 10, 15 years of head coaching experience before getting that job. And I think with Minnesota, that's something that you have to look into of like, hey, you're an interesting time in recruiting. You're an interesting time in the NIL. And like, you got to think of investing in that in order to, put yourself in the best position to succeed. Investing in a coach that's got a ton of experience. I think Ben, and you bring it up, you're right. At the end of the day, it's just black and white. Sometimes they're not good enough. Ben Johnson, straight up, it wasn't good enough, right? But outside of just the investment.
But there's also another thing that I think there's some people that skate by in hires that don't work out. Is we don't hold athletic directors accountable enough for bad hires. Like, should Mark Coyle, because they had some good interest of coaches that had a better. I mean, Ben Johnson was hired because he was an alum, okay, and they needed, because the one knock against Pitino is all these local kids that are really good are going elsewhere. We need somebody that understands Minnesota that can keep kids home, and he did a good job. He just couldn't keep them more than a year. But the athletic director. Sometimes you got to hold the athletic director's feet to the fire of, man, you just made a bad hire.
Why
and we're gonna let you make another bad hire. It's kind of like in the NFL with general managers.
Absolutely.
You made a bad hire. Why are we going to let you make the next hire?
Why does a head coach get 3 years and the general manager gets 6 years? Why does the athletic director get to make all these bad decisions, but the coach doesn't? But I think this point, and this is another convo, like the idea in the era that we are at, where money matters so much, where you can go and you can pluck guys and you can just outbid to go and get players. The idea of we got to keep in-state guys, we got to keep in-home guys, I just think is a little barbaric now. Like, don't get me wrong. Yes, there is
talent. The talent in Minnesota, high school talent. Chet Holmgren. You watch him play last night?
No. I'm not dissing the talent of Minnesota high school basketball.
Okay, that's what I thought you were saying.
No. I'm not dissing that talent. I'm just saying that the mindset of like we got to get a guy to make sure that we can keep all of our in-state guys here. That's a barbaric way of thinking, because you can go and get other guys. Yes, it is important to have a guy from Minneapolis play in Minnesota because, kids grow up and, oh my God, he went to this high school. He was a great gopher. He wins a lot. But if you're just zeroed in on that, if that's why you're hiring the guy, no, there's talent elsewhere. You can go and get talent. You can go and get guys. Back in the day when you couldn't buy players from just across the country, I think that mindset was more in tune because you got to recruit closer to where you're at, and there's an attraction of playing at home. That attraction has kind of skated away a little bit because you can pay guys. Money matters now. I just don't think zeroing in on that exactly, hey, we got to hire a guy who's an alumni. I just don't think that is as at top of the list now as what it used to be, and it shouldn't be.
They have quite a few in-state guys, but here's another thing that is wild in that area, and the best Division I basketball program in the state of Minnesota is not Minnesota; it's now St. Thomas.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if Johnny Tower, who is the head coach of St. Thomas.
Oh, that's interesting.
But would that be we got to stay local?
You would know this. This is a good question for you. What do you think is the more attractive job at this point, St. Thomas or Minnesota?
Oh.
Is it still Minnesota? Is it for sure still Minnesota? I'm just
a Summit League job compared to a Big Ten job.
You're talking about St. Thomas, that they're going to the Big East and they're a sleeping giant and they're going to move on.
We will be in 2025.
Okay. I was throwing it out there.
Compared a Summit League job.
I was throwing it out there.
You think the Omaha job is better
than
Nebraska?
No.
Hell yes.
You talk about St. Thomas very, very highly.
Tournament team.
You were just talking about. I just thought maybe I'd throw it out there.
The Summit League is on an app. The Big Ten is on major networks.
I was just throwing it out there, Gary. I was just saying. I just wanted you to talk about the two jobs.
So you're saying you wanted a St. Paul Saints job more than the Twins?
I wasn't saying either or. I was just throwing it out there.
You think? Yeah, that's a good point. St. Paul Saints or Minnesota Twins? What is a better job for Toby Gardenhire?
The Twins. I was just trying to peel back some layers and talk about the Summit League and put UNO over. Okay, I was just trying to add.
Coming up on the show.
It's funny. I worked at Kansas. I really wanted the Washburn job, but nobody got back to me.
Sarah Baker-Hans is going to stop by at 8 o'clock. Sip is in at 9:15 with thoughts aplenty. Dylan and Emmett.
Where are they now?
Tour last night. They're at the Boys State basketball tournament.
As they should be. It's something to do. It's good,
clean
hold
fun. Hold my tongue.
Oh, of those two being there?
I mean, yeah, they should. The guys should be able to go wherever they want to go. I was just going to make a joke.
Hey, I'd go watch
probably
that
wouldn't be
Southeast
appropriate.
band.
But you know what? They're in Lincoln. It's not like they're going out to Omaha. So yeah, good for them. They're out there.
Where else are they supposed to go? What else?
No. They went there. That's the thing. They were in Lincoln. It was fine. They were going local.
Wait, there was baseball last night, right?
There was plenty of baseball.
They should have gone to that.
Yeah, it was a good night for baseball. Nebraska swept Wichita State, and then Omaha got a nice victory against Kansas State. Rough trip to the Big O for Kansas State. Got beat 9-8 on Tuesday night against Kraton, and then lost yesterday 3-1 to Omaha. Beautiful day for baseball.
It is a nice day, and apparently it's a beautiful day to die too, according to Jimmy.
For the sign to die, not for humans to die. The sign is going to die.
Earlier today, in the beginning of the show. Earlier in the show, Jimmy said it was a beautiful day to die.
People that know me can tell I am in a great mood today.
That's what he said. I was just quoting my producer. Remember earlier in the show?
Wasn't that the name of a movie? It's a beautiful day to die.
Isn't that a Bond?
Yes.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah. Brian Edwards.
Great day to die.
We'll stop by.
It's a beautiful day to gamble. I'm going to go on my couch and rock today.
You had a good day yesterday.
I did? Oh,
did you follow through?
Oh, did. Oh, big time.
Oh, nicely done.
I hit, man. I hit. And then also Oklahoma City Thunder. Cha-ching. Cha-ching.
Everybody prepared for Oklahoma City Cleveland NBA final in June.
I'm just going to laugh at people complaining.
I love it.
And I'm going to enjoy good basketball.
So bad.
Cleveland might be the quietest team that could win 70 games this year.
No one gives a damn. And that is the exact problem with ESPN and the markets and everything like that. But you know what? David Stern would be rolling over in his grave if Oklahoma City and Cleveland played in the finals.
All right, that's the lineup brought to you by the Roofers at John Higgins Weather Guard. We are off and running. There is one job open in the Big Ten. Iowa stays for another day. Ohio State, though. Could we be down to 8 or 9 teams out of the Big Ten make the tournament? IU probably have to win today against Oregon, you think?
Yeah, okay. Probably, and especially, but the bubble got a little bit weaker yesterday with Vandy losing, and then Texas picked up a victory And then Colorado beat West Virginia.
How about that?
I mean, didn't see that coming. Imagine if Colorado runs the table. Talk about a bid stealer.
As a
Holy
16
crap.
seed
they play
in
Houston.
the Big 12 tournament. Yeah.
I don't like their
insanity. I mean, I'm just saying, you never know.
All right. Gary and Matt with Jimmy on a Thursday in March Madness on 1620 The Zone. All right, I want to apologize. I don't know if they're a listener of our show, but if they are listening, I apologize to this person at the grocery store yesterday. And you know who you are because I was staring at you. More, I was staring at the things you had in your basket in the self-service checkout. It was not me just
you were judging
staring.
them. No, you were judging them.
No, I was not judging them. I was
analyzing.
I was in love with them.
Oh wow.
Ooh. But I did
what
not,
was it like? White Oreos and white wine, or
I did not know how to approach them because
corn nuts,
as they were standing next to me, I looked into their cart. Do you guys check out other people's grocery carts or their little buggies?
$1,000,000%. There have been times where I've looked at a bag and I'm like, "You're a psycho."
I mean,
I don't judge.
I'm like, "You got Scotch tape and a cucumber? Seriously, we're putting those two things together? That's weird."
Could be a start of a good time. You don't know.
You're a dirty minded man. Nope, it was just a vegetable and a tool.
Maybe they're making salad. Maybe they're pickling the cucumbers.
What a great day to die. That's the theme of this first hour.
Mm-hmm. Can we rename
the show?
A cucumber and Scotch tape.
Someone checked out with cucumber and Scotch tape before.
Click out of that.
No.
Okay. I don't know what's going. I know what's going on over there on the on your computer.
But you you did name the segment. So thank you.
The only place I do is I'm a Judgy McJudgy when I go to Costco.
It's my nickname
because I like to see what people are getting, because if they have something that I don't have that looks really good, I'm going to go and find that.
Yeah.
But usually in the grocery store, man, I'm head down, boom. You know what? I spent my entire young lifetime with my mom going to Hy-Vee in Urbandale on Saturday mornings, and we went up and down every friggin' aisle.
Oh, that was
got your steps.
That was your type of.
Oh,
you had to see every single item, every single deal. What was the sticker?
Did you get a donut at least for your efforts?
Ours was a cookie.
Okay,
ours was a cookie. Okay. But
wow.
Now you don't want to go grocery shopping with me because I dart.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm okay. I need this over here, this over there, boom, boom, boom. And I try and not have the big cart. I try and have the medium sized cart. But this guy next to me yesterday, and so I looked to my left, I looked down, checking him out, and I was like, "Oh my God, you are unbelievable. I want to know more." He had.
Were there frozen peas in there?
No. What in the?
We're just you don't get the do you not get the bit here? We're throwing out random items just to get you off track.
No.
The tournament starts next week.
No. I have experience. I've been doing it for
22 years, 24 years, 27 years.
No, when did I lose it?
29 years.
When did I lose it?
14 years.
Okay, so 30 plus years.
Okay.
I know when you bring up a cucumber and you bring up a bag of peas where you guys are going. I'm the mature one on the show. So I'm looking at this guy's cart. And I'm like, oh my God. Because he looks like he's about my age. He had Grape Crush and Orange Crush in his cart.
Oh.
And I wanted to follow him home. I'm like, please take me back. Please take me back to the days when I just crushed Orange Crush and Grape Crush. And then I was like, okay, so I went a little bit creepy. So this is why I have to apologize to the guy. Because I think the guy recognized me. Because
sure.
Then I was like, does he have a ring on? Because, does he have kids? If not, he is a solo guy that is drinking Orange Crush and Grape Crush, and I think this guy should be up for some award.
So my father,
we should invite him.
Loves soda, okay, and granted, he is a diabetic, okay, and so we have to watch his sugar intake. But he knows that when mom is out of the house and it's just me, that I am going to go out and I'm going to get him a soda, because you know what? I know the hand that feeds me, and I understand that the guy needs a soda, right? Every once in a while, he can have a little sugar. So one day he goes, no joke, Matt, I want some grape soda. And I go, you want grape soda? He goes, I want grape soda. He goes, if they have, no joke, he goes, if they have Crush, that's great. But just in general, get me a grape soda. No joke. I went to 3 different gas stations and 1 grocery store to get this man grape soda. Okay. This grape soda, it is extinct. Okay. You cannot, it is really hard to find grape soda. I don't know when grape soda became the dinosaur of sodas. Okay. Where the pandas of sodas,
the end of the 90s.
Where we have to go and eliminate it and everybody loves it. But at the same time, I went out and I got it. Grape soda. Nails. nails.
Oh,
I think it's one of those sodas where it doesn't matter about the brand, right? It doesn't matter what brand. It doesn't matter if it's Pepsi or if it's Coke or if it's Sierra Mist or if it's A&W or Barks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Grape soda is grape soda. You're going to taste it. You're going to love it. Mm-hmm. It's elite.
That's why I miss covering the Big 12 tournament. They have these things in the media fridge.
What?
Grape and Orange Crush. That's why you see it on the scorers table.
Really?
They have RC Cola, Diet Right.
Look at his face. Yeah. His face is like, I got to get a job in the Big 12.
Because I'm root beer.
He's like, is the Colorado announcing job open? is someone leaving? Oh. I got to get to the Big 12
immediately. Mark does have some pipes.
So I was more thinking, like the next time I go to Exarban Cinema, where you get the soda and you get 15 million options, if Grape and Orange Crush are on there.
They have to be. One thing, though, I do
Are they under the Coke family?
Well,
no. No. I don't know what family they're under.
Neither
because
do I. I
these
don't know
Big 12 sodas are all together.
Those monster soda machines that are self-serve are Coke branded.
Yeah, you should look. They got. I think Fanta is in those machines.
He's at MSG.
True. I don't want John Fanta in my soda machine.
No, Orange Fanta. What I can't stand though about
when he dyed his hair, he was Orange Fanta.
Blue Fanta. Bald Fanta. I can't wait till he's bald Fanta.
He was Blue Fanta when everybody realized who John Fanta was, and he slipped. He was outside covering the snowstorm in New York City, and he slipped. That's when John Fanta rose to fame. He was blue then.
Yeah. Hey, why is he the sideline reporter? Why is like
he's John Fanta?
No, he's John effing Fanta. Who this show discovered, by the way.
He should be announcing. He should be the play-by-play guy.
He's working his way there.
I don't have any.
You want him to push aside Gus? Well, I guess the 3 games yesterday.
I don't have any grape against any of these guys who are announcing. Like, I think Noah Eagle is great, and I think Gus is fine.
You got Timmy Bree,
but like John Fan is pretty damn good. All right, he's pretty damn. He should be at least a play-by-play guy for one of these tournaments. I mean, when it was
him and Kim Adams, who make a really good pair to the women's tournament.
They did.
Yes, that was great. He did a phenomenal job announcing UConn Kraton that women's basketball championship game. But anyway, yes, I am a Judgy McJudgerton when it comes to going to the and you have to be. Now, you being a darter, I came home one time from break, and I do the grocery shopping for the family just because I'm quick, and it's just like one of the things.
They're owned by Keurig Dr. Pepper.
I get a list, and we've been going to the same grocery store for my entire lifetime. Okay, the Jewel Osco right on Tui. Okay, and I come home and they go, "We don't go to that grocery store anymore." I go, "What do you mean you don't go to that grocery store anymore?" "Oh, it's too dirty. We don't like it. We go to this grocery store now." I go, "Over my dead body. Absolutely not. I'm not going to go to a new grocery store where I don't know anything. I don't know where anything is. I don't know where anywhere is. I'm not doing that. I only go to that grocery store because I'm like you. I dart. I know. I start in produce, then I go to the deli, then I make my way to milk, then I go through the 4 aisles that we buy from, then I go back to the front. I grab stamps. I go home. Okay?
Stamps,
you cannot be changing grocery stores and be telling me, hey, we don't go here anymore. I don't care if it's dirty. I don't care if there's cockroaches anywhere. That's the grocery store.
It's character. It's like an old ballpark.
Stamps?
Always got to get stamps. We always run out of stamps in the McMaster household.
They like Bill Snyder. They write personal notes and mail them out.
No. We always run out of stamps.
Pen pals or?
I don't know what my dad is doing and how many bills he's got to send out or whatever, but the man always needs stamps. So you know what? We stock up and we make sure there's never a moment where he doesn't have stamps. Because you know what? When he does not have stamps, we're on FranCon 1. Okay?
Stamps.
All
right. Hour number 2 coming up. Sarah Baker Hansen, by the way, we will. She is a little preoccupied, so we'll get her next week. I want to just say 2 things about something that was just released by USA Today. If you're just tuning in, Ben Johnson fired. We've been off. We said 1 a.m. It was actually at 1:27 this morning when Ben Johnson was fired at Minnesota with a release from the university. So Minnesota's head basketball job is open. Ben Johnson, 56-71, finished below 500 in the Big Ten in all 4 of his seasons. There's a lot more in there. But ironically, speaking of support, investment, all of those things that go into men's basketball in places where, I mean, there's more history at Minnesota than there is like at a place like Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
USA Today on Q has released the top 25 paid college basketball coaches.
Oh,
Jimmy, you get the first crack. Who is the highest paid college basketball coach today? These are public universities.
Mm-hmm. I would have said William Tiberius Self. I don't even know if that's Bill's middle name, but actually I'm going to go with Calipari because Arkansas backed up the Brinks truck for him.
Hurley.
Bill Self is right. 8.8 million.
Oh, stud. I'm loaded.
Danny?
Oh, number 2 is Calipari.
Yeah.
So let me just give you the top 5 here. Calipari, who gets paid $8 million to tell his player to intentionally miss a free throw.
Yeah, almost cost me my bet.
Dan Hurley makes 7.7. Izzo is at 6.2. Mick Cronin is at 6.1. Those are the top 5. Where do you think the 15th highest paid coach in college basketball resides?
The University of Nebraska, Lincoln.
Lincoln, Nebraska. Fred Hoiberg is the 15th highest paid college basketball coach at $4.7 million, ahead of Calvin Sampson, who gets paid $4.6 million.
Damn.
Back with hour number 2, coming up after this on 1620 The Zone.
Never a dull moment.
See, that's
right,
perfect. Good line.
On air, off air,
Yeah.
like we just laugh.
So Matt's looking for a new job.
No, I'm
There's a
not.
nice little-
Already.
No.
He's
I'm
all over
not.
LinkedIn.
I'm not.
During the break, he's like, man,
The message boards are going to go crazy.
This is a good job for me. I think I will take this job.
No.
My parents want me to move back home. They're
You're getting
lonely.
recruited. You're getting recruited to be the next head coach of Minnesota.
Or to run Dinkytown.
So what we were doing, it's about this time every week.
It's Thursday.
My LinkedIn profile hasn't been touched since I moved from Fort Myers.
Let me look this up.
But every week I get the email, like all of us do that I guess are on LinkedIn. And I know LinkedIn's an important thing. LinkedIn right here in Omaha, by the way. They have a great setup.
Oh my God, look at you. Look at that picture.
They have that's when I was working with the
twins. Handsome lad. You got the hair is flowing.
So living in Florida, my hair would get blonde because I was in the sun all the time.
Yeah.
But
so that's what happened in South
LinkedIn
Bend.
In Omaha.
LinkedIn is right here in Omaha. They got a great setup. Over at it's catty corner from Boys Town. But every week at this time, I get this email about you appeared in 6 searches, and you can see like the logos of a couple of them.
Yeah.
But that's delete. Off of the heels of Ben Johnson, the basketball coach of Minnesota, getting fired at 1 a.m. this morning.
Mm-hmm.
You appeared in 6 searches this week. Minnesota is one of them.
Hey, they're calling you. They're calling you. They're like, hey, the last head coach that they hired didn't have any head coaching experience. You fit the bill. Have my picture up there? Because let me tell you something right now. You ever see Looper, the movie?
No.
Okay. So in Looper, the movie,
I know Braden Looper.
Looper is a movie where basically you have a hitman. And the hitman, like, it's a very dystopian, like, futuristic movie. And essentially in the movie, you see Joseph Gordon-Levitt turn into young Joseph Gordon-Levitt and form into Bruce Willis. Yeah. Okay. Whoa. And you kind of see this, like, montage of him turning into Bruce Willis. And it's a really cool scene.
Angels.
You look like one of the actors who they had to put in between Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. That's a compliment.
Hell yes.
You look like an older Joseph Gordon-Levitt and a younger Bruce Willis in this picture.
Thank you. That picture, my LinkedIn profile picture.
Isn't it a little Jim McMahon?
Yes.
Isn't it?
So I have seen this picture
before. Fort Myers News Press was doing a story when I left, because that was a big deal in Fort Myers.
You're a big deal everywhere.
So they came to the ballpark and they took that picture. So that's the picture.
The funny thing is now is that so I haven't updated my LinkedIn since I left my previous job. So now next week in your updates, you're going to be like, you appeared in X amount of searches, and one of them is going to be ESPN. You're going to be like, they're coming after me. I'm a big deal. I'm going to get, Mama, I'm going big. No,
last week I got Stanford. I'm not that
part-time
smart.
producer henchman.
One of the we had an all-time LinkedIn moment on this radio station.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, one of my good friends.
Stories.
Very, very good.
Sometimes you do a show, and then you drive downtown in the middle of June to go to the College World Series, and someone that works on the air on 1620 gets on LinkedIn looking for a job.
We've all been there.
I'm pretty sure he was sitting right in front of me at the UNL College of Journalism when it happened. No joke. Because he would come down and he would be like a mentor for kids at the College of Journalism.
So Severe put on LinkedIn that he was looking for a job. We all go down to the College World Series to work the game. And immediately people are like, what's going on here?
Just looking for a job.
I remember talking to Severe and meeting him and him being like, yeah, I'm the morning show host and everything like that. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like I want to do like, that's like kind of the type of job I want one day. And he goes, yeah, I'm
looky here.
He goes, yeah, I'm gone. He's like, yeah, I'm looking for something else.
Oh, he didn't hide it.
He's like, I'm heading out. Hey, we just met.
Pretty damn uncomfortable for about 5 months around here. But
that's Michael.
Everybody's like,
Hashtag hero.
Dun.
So, and the management that was here when Michael was here is no longer here. I guess they then started to scour LinkedIn for every employee to see if they were putting on there they're looking for a new job.
Is that why they added me when I got here? I was like, I thought they just wanted to be friends. No, they were looking if I got here the first day and would start applying for jobs.
Former employer, too.
They actually sent out a memo about LinkedIn. Yeah.
Really?
As a good tool to use to network. All right, 705.
Shout out LinkedIn.
That is great. Yeah, a lot of insurance companies are looking me up. Maybe I should take it as
you
a
have
sign.
something in your profile that has
no. I have zero. It's all broadcasting. Yeah. I have 3 insurance companies and Aritzia knocking on my door.
Sure.
That to be the social media assistant for the Chicago Bears.
See, I told you should apply for it to see how much it pays.
Just like research-wise?
I would be curious to see how much that job pays.
I have zero social media. Well, I actually was the social media chair for the Ultimate Frisbee Club in the college at UNL.
Speaking of Ultimate Frisbee, I got one of the PR emails yesterday. I guess there is a disc golf course in Lincoln that is top 100 in the country.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's I forget the name, but there are a lot of guys who go there who do it. It's awesome. I haven't done it before, but I know a lot of friends who don't even play Frisbee who just like, yeah, it's an activity. It's nice to get outside. You kind of just throw the disc around. It's shorter than a round of golf. You should try it. I don't think you ever will, but you should.
I was interested. I was at Seymour Smith Park one day, and I forgot to bring my bag of weed. So I could not participate.
I mean, prerequisites.
Jesus, does anybody that is not baked play disc golf over at Seymour Smith? Dude, you could be sitting at the corner right there by the Casey's and the Sonic.
You smell it? You just smell it?
Right there on 72nd.
It's like a concert.
Verbating.
Yeah. You're like, I miss the days of when Omaha played at Seymour Smith. No, I don't. The train going by in left field and the shooting range out beyond right field.
America.
Bang, God, bang. Just to think where Omaha baseball was when they played there compared to the facility they play now at Tal Anderson.
Hey, massive win yesterday.
That was a good win. It was a bullpen day in Lincoln and Omaha, and they came through. It was it was a good day for Omaha baseball. They used 9 guys. That's a good Kansas State team. Also made me realize, and Omaha has very much a local roster. Yeah. So we had, last night, the pitcher for Omaha was Carter Mick, who played at Lincoln East.
Oh, okay.
At the time, his battery mate was Cardell Dick. So you had a Mick pitching to a Dick in the game. But then A.J. Avasco, who is a giant human being, Carter Mick was pitching to him. It just shows you like this run. And I know I wish high school baseball would get more attention. The exposure, like with Nebraska prospects and other traveling teams, has gotten better. And in the high school baseball, the baseball in this state is really, really good. Mm-hmm. You just look at the rosters of Kraton, Nebraska, and Omaha. But it made me realize last night watching that game how much of a great run we've been on with Lincoln East, Prep, and Millard West, 3 programs, for example, that have just produced banger after banger of Division I guys. So that was kind of cool last night. Kansas State, they got a good program. They like to recruit this area. Smolinski from Gretna's on their roster.
I was lucky enough to follow that Lincoln East team last year during their run to the Legion Baseball Championships. Mm-hmm. I went to a lot of those games. They did not
win the state championship. You know who won the state championship last year? An Omaha team. Millard West.
I was just saying, I interviewed some of those guys. It's very, very nice and very local.
Coach Lanik does a really, really good job there.
Congratulations to them. It's a good win. It's a state championship, man.
It's a Legion championship.
No. I was just saying from my experiences that I had followed that team and I had met some of those guys and interviewed those guys. I didn't know there was Omaha Lincoln animosity here on high school baseball.
Everything.
There always is.
But I mean,
we have potholes. They have crime.
Absolutely, that's a deep level there.
We're Swim Town. They're Crime Town. Okay,
we're Car Wash Town. Hey, I'm here. I live here. I live here.
You're in the probationary period of becoming an Omahan.
Am I
You got 6 months before you become a true Omahan, is what I was told when I moved here.
So do I have to go through like a citizen test or something like that? Do I have to what would the questions on a Omaha citizen test be?
Thoughts
in
on
order for me
car.
to become
God.
Indifferent?
Do you miss Rosenblatt?
Are you no, you can't, you haven't even registered your car here yet.
No, I haven't. I don't even have a license here yet.
Whoa.
Which I'm going to get eventually.
Okay.
I know.
If I get around to it,
maybe I don't know.
When my plates expire.
Shout out to the great people of the law enforcement
That's just kind of my
community.
life. It's down the line. I'll get there. I'll do the laundry eventually.
The Angry Banana says, I'll take playing at Seymour, hearing the formal shooting range versus Boyd or Lynch, and hearing the informal firing ranges. Some spooky times back in the day. I don't know about that one. But yeah, I was odd at Seymour Smith that you would hear gunshots. And you're like, whoa. But they have a shooting range out beyond the right field wall. It was a very unique place for Omaha to play, one of their 15 different places they played in. But now they play at a jewel of Tal Anderson. Also, yesterday, watching some sports, I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. Larry Scott, the former commissioner of the Pac-12, was so friggin' bad at his job. Just awful at his job. The Pac-12 doesn't exist. I have watched more this year. I have watched more USC and UCLA athletic events and Cal and Stanford events than I have in ages.
Which proves the point.
Not just USC. Like, you watch USC football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I've watched USC. I've watched more men's basketball from USC. Of course, with Juju Watkins and their program, you watch them a little bit more. But those 4 schools in particular, that 2 are in the Big Ten and 2 are in the ACC, just shows you how messed up Larry Scott screwed that league, that you couldn't watch them, and
they're good too,
and
you enjoy them, and you're like, man, this is like entertaining basketball. And I don't
know. They enjoyed watching Cal Stanford in the ACC
tournament.
I'm
talking more so about
UCLA
and USC. I'm more so talking about the Big Ten counterpart. Same thing with Oregon. Like, you watch, Oregon basketball, pretty damn good this year.
But see, I think I watched just because Oregon was like good, and I like Dana, so
sure.
I would probably watch them more. Football is different because we don't watch Oregon football, but just. Like, I've watched more UCLA and USC. If that game was played in Vegas last night, USC and Rutgers, because that would make sense that Rutgers would be on a West Coast conference.
Sure.
I probably would not watch it. Last night it's in the Big Ten. I'm watching it thinking, man, Steve Peichel, that sucks for you. You had 2 generational talents play for you, and you don't even make the NCAA tournament. But you know what? You're not alone. It's happened at Duke.
Well, at least he made the Big Ten tournament.
That is true. So Larry Scott, bad at his job.
Hot take.
Main takeaway here.
So the thing with Ben Johnson, and I was thinking about this.
Sure.
Because everything revolves around Nebraska basketball these days, is let's compare this to Nebraska football. Because the thing at Minnesota, and I'm interacting with a couple of people that for some reason are very passionate about Minnesota basketball.
Bobby Jackson was so good.
Yeah. So Mike says, Richard Pitino was always right about the Gopher basketball program. Until facilities and NIL are improved, there will continue to be a major gap between expectations and reality. Hold those last 3 words right there.
Yeah.
And Pitino probably can say that because he went to New Mexico and he just won a regular season title, and they're going to be in line to have a good seed in the NCAA tournament. So if a guy gets fired from a job, did he officially get fired or did he leave?
I don't know. I can.
All of a sudden, one day you wake up and Pitino is at New Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay, but he had okay success at Minnesota. But does it change your perception of the job if someone gets fired and they go elsewhere and they have success? Because let's do this with football. Let's do this with football here. Because if you're going to say, hey, the challenges of Minnesota basketball are above me, and you go somewhere else where you have less resources and less NIL, and you actually are winning,
better.
Okay, so I think Frank Solich gets fired at Nebraska, goes to Ohio, less resources, does pretty well, right?
Oh yeah, is the greatest coach of Ohio football.
But we have been. Man, it's dysfunctional in Lincoln.
Yeah.
And sometimes coaches just aren't very good, but sometimes above them it's just dysfunctional.
Sure.
It just adds to this point. So Bill Callahan never was a head coach anywhere else after getting fired at Nebraska. Bo Pelini went to Youngstown State. Was not good at Youngstown State.
Yeah, they got
Mike Riley never coached again, like not in college football, after he got fired here. Now, what do we think about the alignment at Nebraska? It's in a much better spot than it's been in a while.
Sure.
And Matt Rule is nodding his head. But what if Scott Frost goes to Central Florida and they have not the same success he had in his unbeaten year, but let's say in the Big 12, they're winning 9 games every year and they're competing to play in the conference championship. Does that change how we look at Nebraska? Do we get angry because, yep, you guys are all right? That alignment was just instead of you're a bad coach that took advantage of being at Nebraska.
I think Scott Frost is, and this will be the point in general. Like, that might be a little bit different because he's going back to the place that he had success at before. So he's already proven he can have success at UCF. Granted, he'll be in a very different conference this go around than he was the last time. So circumstances.
It would be impressive if Scott had success in Central Florida now. Not saying that he won't, because I think they are set up for him to be, minimum 7 wins.
I don't think it's a I disagree. Well, not that you made a point on it or you had an opinion on it, but I don't think it's a bad reflection on a former program if your coach goes somewhere else and does well. And the reason why I think that is I just think it's a case-on-case basis. Yeah. I think just things are set up differently no matter where you go, right? You could go to one place and they just don't have a great athletic director that doesn't really support you and things are really difficult there. And then when you go to a different place, you do have a good athletic director and everything goes really well. You get the support, then you have success. But someone else, let's say, goes back to the program that you were at and there's a new athletic director and he's really good and he or she is really good and it supports that new head coach and that new head coach does well. Is that a bad reflection on you that new athletic director and that head coach is having success? I don't think so. I just think that it just depending on where you're at and what's going on at that time. And sometimes you get a good role and sometimes you don't.
Okay. Let me give you another one.
Sure.
Tim Miles. So Tim Miles, better win percentage than Fred. He was 116 and 114, but like a lot of coaches now at Nebraska in their conference, he was 24 games under 500. If he would have gone to San Jose State and had success, and San Jose State was at the bottom of the bottom.
Yeah.
But Tim is 51. I don't know if this has been updated. I think he's 51 and 79 in his 4 years there.
He's
19 and 55 in the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah. He's got, 53, 37. But, yeah, I mean, that, once again, case-on-case basis. I think, though, with how at the bottom that San Jose State was, the fact that they were not a good program in the Mountain West Conference, if he were to build that all the way up, to the point where they are consistently getting the NCAA tournaments and, like, competing, it's a great reflection on Tim Miles. But at the same time, is the athletic director the same at Nebraska when Tim Miles was the head coach than it is when Fred Hoiberg, or currently where Fred Hoiberg is as the head coach? No, it's not. I think it's just one of those things where it could be a good reflection on the coach. It could be a bad reflection on the program. It could be a bad reflection on both, a good reflection on both. Maybe it just didn't work out. Maybe it wasn't a marriage. I just think that these things just really boil down to like who's in the power chair, right? And who is conducting everything and how much support do you actually have, from that person in the power chair. And that relationship between athletic director and head coach of any sort of program needs to be simpatico, needs to be on point, because it doesn't just play in from like a financial perspective, but like a morale perspective.
So Doc Sadler, 56 and 94 in his 5 years at Southern Miss. He was 101 and 89 at Nebraska.
I just think things can trend. I think it just kind of depends on where you're at what time and why it's important that you just have that relationship. I think that maybe you can zero in on it from a perspective of like more oftentimes than not, it's a bad reflection on the program, but I don't think it's black and white. I think these situations with just how unique sports is, with how unique athletic departments are, with how many different cogs in the machine that are moving, it gets weird. Ben Johnson can go and coach somewhere in the Missouri Valley or have really great success in another, team.
You thought we were having a discussion, I think, before Nebraska and Minnesota played. You think he'll go to a Power 5?
No, not a Power 5. I think
changed.
I think he'll go to a mid-major. I think if he works hard enough at a mid-major and has enough success in a mid-major, he could get back to a Power 5 because I don't think the book is written on him. I don't think his first head coaching experience at Minnesota, the things that they went through, the turnover on his roster, I don't think Ben Johnson is a open and shut case in terms of his prospect as a Power 5 coach. He definitely will need to go to mid-major first to build up that resume and get wins and get NCAA tournament appearances and stuff like that. But if Ben Johnson goes and has success elsewhere, but then Minnesota goes and they hire a brand new head coach and it works out for them, who's it a bad reflection on? I don't think it's a bad reflection on either. I just think it's hey, this didn't work out and this wasn't the right situation, and sometimes that just happens.
John writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. He said, Rule will not be a head coach again after he's fired from Nebraska, which he will be. Jesus.
Wow.
That's harsh and kind of out of nowhere.
So he'll also be on LinkedIn.
I don't think that.
I don't buy. I disagree with that completely.
Well, I don't think he'll be fired at Nebraska.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, sure. I mean, how old is he? 49?
He's in his 50s.
Okay.
At least he looks like he's in his 50s. I mean,
that's what the Nebraska job does to you.
Man, he is
it's like being in the White House.
He's losing hair. Like literally losing. He had a pretty nice.
That's why I've never accepted a Nebraska football job.
Would you get excited if Nebraska was on your LinkedIn searches that you've appeared in?
No, because it would be true.
Yeah.
Another email from Chris would be, who has more wins this season?
He's 50.
Rule or Frost? He looks 50.
Yeah, he's
pretty good for his age.
He's not in his 40s.
I think you could retire at Nebraska. I mean, I think you're the head football coach in Nebraska and you do really well.
Yeah.
Unless it's Penn State, why would you leave here? If you get it rolling here, why would you leave the University of Nebraska unless it was back to where it all started? I mean, we're not doing anything with that football program.
No.
So Chris writes in, rule or Frost. I don't like this, but I'm going to read it because that's what required to do. It says it on my job description.
On the Equitable Bank inbox.
How triggered will the fan base be if Central Florida wins more games than Nebraska this fall?
I don't think
different opponents.
Different opponents, different conferences. Yeah,
you know
different strength of schedules.
Hey, just like we have to quit Aaron Rodgers, we have to quit Scott Frost. Okay? Whatever he does down there, great. Okay? I'm glad that he smiles. He looks happy. Okay? He looks... That's the spot for him. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out here. Okay? There's a lot of things that went into it. You got to have the tools in the toolbox to be successful here. It didn't work out. Good for him. You know what? He didn't coach here anymore. Matt Rule coaches here. All right? That's the guy that you have to worry about. He's cleaned out the Scott Frost stuff. Okay, this is Matt Rule's football program. If you want to get triggered on who's going to have more wins, it has nothing to do with the guy in Orlando, okay?
Nothing.
If you wanted to get triggered and compared, what if Luke Fickell got Wisconsin football ahead of Nebraska?
Right.
There would be the discussion to be triggered because they're more in line than a guy that used to be here, the guy that replaced him. Let the guy go to Central Florida.
Hey.
We still can't quit Aaron Rodgers, by the way.
Screw Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers drives ratings. Aaron Rodgers and riffing with LeBron.
Hey,
it's gonna be a book.
Comparison is the thief of joy. All right, plain and simple. Comparison is the thief of joy. If you want to get mad, start comparing. Okay, like if you want to seriously, if you want to trigger yourself, if you want to get angry about things, because at any point of the day, just start comparing to other things, and then you'll find your way. Because you know what? There's always a person that's better. There's always a team that's better. There's always a coach with more success.
Some would say even a spouse that's better.
Yeah, sure. It doesn't matter. There's always
ever
things.
Listens to this show?
Mine.
Mine. I'm
just saying, like, there's always if you want to piss yourself off, go ahead and start comparing yourself or other things or things that you enjoy to other people or other things. That's just plain and simple.
Tom writes in the Equitable Bank inbox where they take.
You're not wrong, Matt.
Personally, hold on. Do I need to read Doug's email earlier? Oh, yeah. He said a cucumber and a bag of peas, which are the preferred thing for Matt and Jimmy. Said it sounds like a country song
or an album.
A cold beer, red dirt, a pickup truck.
Oklahoma. How about that?
That's a lot of country music nowadays.
I don't judge. Whatever you do away from the show, you can do. Okay, whatever thing you choose, whatever,
whatever soda you choose to drink, whatever you choose to put in your grocery cart.
Whatever gives you a Mike Breen double bang, and it's not Mikal Bridges hitting a game winner. But Tom's email is, what about Altman's last few years at Kraton and then his success at Oregon?
But that's the one thing. Kraton has had success at, with Mac, right? And they've, not just success, incredible amount of success. And Dana's had success at Oregon. So who looks bad in that? No one looks bad.
Just be happy.
Kraton looks good because they moved off him and they got a guy that, pushed their program so far forward. And Dana looks good because he was, he left and then he's still a great coach and having good success over in Oregon.
And it was basically just so 06-07 was Dana's last trip to the NCAA tournament, NIT, CIT semifinal. His last year, 18-16. I think the Dana finish at Kraton is awkward because of the dalliance with Arkansas. Because after that, the vibe around the program was different. I mean, Dana sometimes this whole discussion comes back to if a guy can coach, a guy can coach. And your record is what you are. Okay?
Yes.
That's why it's important for Matt Rule to distance himself from being a 500 football coach. because his record is what it is.
Absolutely.
So this is the to-go time of, I'm not a 500 football coach. Okay, I am better than that. But how long into your tenure can you say your record is what you are?
But with Matt Rule, would you rather have a coach that is a 500 football coach that talks like a 500 football coach or talks like a 9 to 10 win football coach? Matt Rule talks like a 9 to 10 win football coach. Some people could be off that. Some people would say, I don't like that. Don't do anything. Don't really be as boisterous until you win. Some people like that, where it's like, hey, see it before it happens, conceive it, manifest.
I think he does this, and I don't know if this is calculated or just is his manner. He does try and talk some things into existence.
He does, 1,000,000%.
And I think that's probably, many years of, being around a father who has great oral skills.
Sure.
Just you don't see that a lot in coaches. Like, they'll talk because he does one thing, and this is kind of evident the other day. He is honest with his players, so it's not like he'll say something to the media that his players haven't heard.
Mm-hmm.
But he does talk to his players through the media.
Oh,
I mean, that's like he's been
doing that the second he got here. I mean, as soon as in the first instance was right before the Minnesota game, talking about the running backs and how Gabe looks great and Ramir looks great and Gabe's our number one and Anthony Grant is fumbling the football too much. And I think people were kind of taken aback at that, like, wow, okay. And like when he mentions guys and stuff like that.
I think our coaches, sometimes we're taken back because they're honest and we're not used to that.
Sure.
So they're authentic and they say stuff, the Dylan Raiola stuff, which
well, so that was kind of the next point. That is talking through the media, right?
Well, yes. But that's also one of those things where I think you have to listen to him talk instead of reading it. Like, if you just read his comments about his quarterback, they hit different. But if you hear him talking,
you're right.
If you hear the tone in his voice, it's much different. But he does. I think there are some things that he'd like to talk into existence. And I think about, like, last year at the Big Ten Media Days when he said this could be, what did he say, a 9-10 win team? Like, he tried to talk it into existence. So when he talks about this roster, even though this roster, the staff in the roster is better than it was when they left the Pinstripe Bowl, I think there's that case of, okay, I gotta get this out there so that guys start to believe in my program that they are good.
He's tried to talk aspects of the game into existence. He's tried to talk his offense into existence in terms of how they want to play and having possession and running the football.
Someone talked him into getting rid of his offensive coordinator.
Well, eventually,
so whoever that is, good job,
because he couldn't manifest good results.
Steve Sippel coming up a little bit later. Brian Edwards as well. Scary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey, March Madness is here, and so is, grassroots basketball season. AEF Academy Spring and Summer going on. Grades 2nd through 17 under boys and girls teams. Rosters are loading up. Now, if you missed the tryouts, just go to their website, contact them. If you are interested in joining AEF Academy for the spring and summer to be on the floor, attitude, effort, focus, that is what AEF stands for. It is the fastest growing youth basketball program in the Omaha area. They got a great facility that is busy around the clock at 99th and Portal Road in Papillion. They got 3 hardwood courts, and they've got plenty of coaches that are paid, and they are trained to work with you to give you the best experience possible. And also, the team you're on is the team you should be on. They're taking care of you today. Plus, as we get into the summertime, camps galore to help you improve your game. They'll make an impact both on the court and in the community. That's what AEF, that's part of their core values that they will instill in every athlete. Developing great athletes, even better humans. For more information on everything that is going on, it's an exciting time for AEF Academy. Go to the website today, aefacademy.com.
The tournament is almost here, if you've not gathered that by now. And 1620 The Zone is giving you a chance to watch the first round in style with 9 of your friends. Enter to win 1620 The Watch Party, and you could get a VIP table at Prairie Flower Casino's Sky Bar and Grill to watch the Friday, March 21st games on multiple big screens. Plus, best part, we're throwing in a $400 restaurant tab. Sure, yeah. Enter now through Sunday, March 16th at 1620thezone.com. That sounds like a hell of a deal.
Mr. Opportunist over there. What is the Kraton DePaul line for tonight?
11.5.
Okay.
Last night it was 10.5. This morning it moved to 11.5. Currently, let me go and look at the current to-date line. It's at 11.5 currently, still sitting. 6 o'clock on FS1.
All right. Matt the Staker is out there.
I love the board today. Absolutely love the board. Was looking, just one of those days where you kind of, you don't really know what the next day is going to bring you. You don't know what the matchups are going to bring you. And so when I woke up when I saw last night what the board was going to look like, and then I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock and I looked at the board because that was the very first thing that I did. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think that it's a very, let me tell you something right now.
What is going on?
Let me tell you something right now.
You don't
just
even
kind of
do
like
that.
how the stock market can be advantageous at times. Today is an advantageous board. There's a lot of money to be made out there. You got a lot of really good matchups, a lot of solid lines,
Sounds
some
like
teams that are playing well. It's the perfect mix of some teams on the up, some teams on the down. I think this is a profitable day for sure. I got 9 matchups here that I absolutely love.
You could be a Bet the Pod podcast guy.
I
just use so many great cliches around sports gambling in that little riff.
Absolutely.
Brian and Lee would be applauding.
Let me tell you something right now. Me and BE, and I think BE knows it. He knows I'm a little degenerate, and I think that's why he enjoys like talking to me. We could do some magical things on like a 10 to 15 minute podcast. I mean, we could make. I'm not like a handicapper.
He's
or
moving to
anything
Destin,
like that,
isn't he?
But let me tell you something right now. I produced a couple like gambling shows in my past. I do pretty damn well. I just love the board today. I love the board. Oregon minus 1.5 against Indiana. I love it.
I think conference tourneys are tricky when you get to Thursday because there's motivation and you're not
fatigue sets in.
Yeah, for some, like Kraton, for example, and that's DePaul will be a little bit of a challenge, but
that's one I'm not betting.
Yeah, I would stay away from that.
Yeah, but Illinois minus 11 with Merez Johnson back in the lineup. Winners of their last 3. Iowa coming off of a high yesterday against Ohio State where they basically couldn't miss at the end of the game.
So I don't know. Give me 3 locks.
Yeah.
Give me your top 3 locks.
Illinois minus 11 for sure. Okay. Xavier plus 2 against Marquette. Oregon minus 1.5 versus Indiana. Wisconsin minus 7.5 is pretty good. But I don't know, Northwestern. So heading into yesterday, Northwestern was 4-11 under Chris Collins in Big Ten Conference tournaments. Only once in his career has he won 2 games in the Big Ten Conference.
Did they get out of their hotel, which was a beautiful 85 degrees?
So
did they move?
I saw that tweet from you. I was like, "This is they should play. They should play in the Summit League. They should stay with you. I mean, they play better when they're in when they're in air conditioning. When they don't have air conditioning, maybe they're too comfortable in Evanston. They got the bright light, Chicago's Big Ten team, they're sipping on caviar.
Let's be honest. Northwestern is that team that keeps the academics good in the Big Ten. And once in a while, do well in the Olympic sports, your major sports,
They got a sweet facility.
You're just there. You're Northwestern. All right. You know your place in the league.
Absolutely.
Okay. But they have a good basketball coach. But here's the thing about the temperature in the hotel room. And I get knocked for this all the time. And I'm telling you.
It builds character.
I'm telling you. I had some speaks with the housekeeper at the hotel we were staying in Sioux Falls. So I immediately went into the I've learned here in our many travels that there are some Marriotts that you cannot go above 80.
Yeah.
Like they will cap it at 82. Other places will let you go as high as 85. So the place we stayed in Sioux Falls, which is a Marriott property, I went in and it was 62.
Whoa.
And it was freezing.
That's like 30 for you.
It was freezing.
No.
So I immediately went to the wall and went bam, 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 bam. I got it up to 80. Okay.
That's not Boston Garden like.
And then it was going to, kick in. And I knew that I was going out. I came back and it was comfortable. It was sitting right at 80. It was gorgeous.
Nice.
But here's what happened. And remember, we're up in Sioux Falls for like 6 days. I'm pretty sure that somebody got word that my room was at 80 because I'd come back and it'd be down to 74. And I think the housekeeper,
they were messing with you.
They came in there and went ding, 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 got it down to 74. And 74 was cold. I'd get that right back up to 80. It was really, really nice. You people that get at me about sleeping when it's cold, because trust me, I'm around a basketball team and coaches who think I'm absolutely.
You are. No, you are.
No. I
But
can't be cold. I cannot be cold.
You are crazy. It's fine.
I left my house open.
We love you.
I left my house open the other day, like before I left for work yesterday, because I knew it was going to be a nice day. I came home yesterday morning
cold.
And it was cold.
Yeah.
And it was cold. So Chris Collins, you got to understand
that's great for you.
Do not get off the internet when people are telling you that temperature is too warm. There's a lot of people who survive with temperatures like that. You perform better because you're on edge. Okay. It doesn't make you. Oh, okay.
Are you telling me that
melting.
I'm too soft and I'm getting too comfortable because I sleep at a comfortable 67 degrees?
You all should try it and then get back to me. And you're
be like, right though. It saved
what?
the 84 Celtics.
You're on to something.
So, Mr. Superstition over here, if you were the head coach and you are being apparently courted for some head coaching jobs, if you were the head coach of the Northwestern Wildcats after they won a Big Ten conference game, a big win for them against Minnesota, would you say, boys, we're staying at 85? No one gets to turn the temperature down at all? You still have to, no more getting comfortable. If we won today, we're all 85 tomorrow. Would you keep that going? Would you enforce
why
that?
Change? Guys got to be on edge.
You're crazy.
If it ain't broke, don't
You're
fix
absolutely
it.
crazy. You're
as much as I don't like sleeping in a hot room.
I will say
agree
this.
Here.
I don't know if my roommate is listening to this, and part of me hopes he is. But I looked at the I get the electric bill, right?
Oh, here we
get the AC bill, everything like that.
Yeah.
Gets right to me. It was really, really high. And then I just immediately after seeing the electric bill, I walked right to the thermostat. It was and he sets the thermostat. I let him set it because I'm not really in particular about my temperature. I can sleep in anything if I'm being honest. It's at 64 degrees.
Oh.
That's way too cold.
Like, what are we doing?
I would be cold.
Like, what are we doing?
So
why is it this cold?
So when I was a kid, I always wanted my house growing up to be 72, like the Metrodome.
That's what I said, like the Astrodome.
Nice.
Because
that's nice.
They would always say it's 72 degrees in the Metrodome, and I thought that was pretty cool as a little kid. So our house was probably
we're 71 family.
My dad liked the house open, so we always had the house open. And a little bit of this is why I like it warm. Is when I moved to Florida, and I was in South Florida where it gets warm, my blood thinned out.
Yeah,
and so like 65 is cold to me.
Right.
Like 70 is kind of cold to me. That's why I like 80. I will go as high as 85. I've never gone above 85 in a hotel room, but I don't sweat. So people are like, "Oh, I can't sleep when it's 85."
I forgot you said that last
I don't
summer.
sweat. I don't sweat when I sleep. I'm not 6 years old.
I do sweat. I sweat profusely. Now the thing, though,
that's on you guys. That's your problem.
I know that is our problem, which is why we don't do 80 degrees. 80. Like, here's the thing: if you were at 76, 77, I would say, hey, he just runs a little hot. He's like a 1998 Chevy Impala. Just runs a little hot. No big deal. All right, that's just how it is. He's still a beautiful car. It's still a good guy. You're getting to the point at 80 degrees where you are a psycho. Like, that is crazy. I can't tell the difference. Insanity.
I can't tell the difference.
It is absolutely
80 to 85. You can't tell the difference. It just is nice and comfortable.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Can't believe you do it. But my 3 picks: Oregon -1.5, Xavier +2, Illinois -11. Cash them, ladies and gentlemen.
Mark those down. We'll check them tomorrow.
Check them tomorrow.
Good luck to everybody out there.
I got 4 other picks that I love as well. We could sprinkle them throughout the show. Okay, that's absolutely incredible. I think everybody should ride the Calipari train right to the SEC tournament championship.
Mm-hmm. That was probably one pick we'll disagree on.
I know
for today.
I like them. +3.5.
I want to see how you do with these lines.
Big East tournament tonight. When we come back, does it matter? Scary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, if you know basketball, then this season when your favorite stars score buckets, we're alley-ooping you an opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. It's one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in your state. To play, choose whether a player goes higher or lower, what other stats, points, assists, rebounds, or more. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn $1 into $1,000 just with your hoops knowledge. Now, if you play with as little as $0, you'll get 0. So you at least do $1. Because this week on Underdog, I'm looking at, I'm looking at the Big 12 tournament because I used to cover it. It was fun. I enjoyed my orange and grape sodas with the occasional RC Cola. And I enjoyed watching some good basketball. And I'm all about Kansas and Arizona tonight. Yes, I know I went to school there, but that's not the point. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code ZONE to unlock a special offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on all the fun when you sign up with promo code ZONE. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 19 plus in Nebraska and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates, like Nebraska. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit ncpgambling.org.
First concert I ever smelled marijuana.
Was that your first concert ever?
Cedar Falls, Iowa. First concert that I went without parents. Okay. Some high school buddies, older brother who could drive.
Nice.
We hopped in the car and we drove to Cedar Falls, Iowa to the Unidome to see Pink Floyd. That's awesome. We were sitting behind some guys that were smoking. and I didn't know what that smell was, but it got into my clothes.
Yeah.
That was an uncomfortable conversation when I got home with Barb.
I did what? Tough. No, I didn't. But I did go to the concession stand a lot.
It was a Pink Floyd concert, Mom. You know how that goes.
This was an incredible concert.
I didn't do that. I definitely didn't do that. As the bloodshot eyes are just radiating right into your mother's pupils.
There wasn't the bloodshot eyes because it wasn't us, but it was the smell.
Oh yeah,
because I'm pretty sure that my mom hammered the weed when she was younger. Like she was a rebel. I think like
so she knew what to look for
to get away from Paul and Cleone. Like they would go out, like to the parking lot somewhere in Jessup, sit on the back of the the Beetle and just.
My parents were the same way.
Complain about the Vietnam War, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Which made it tough.
Can you believe this NFL-AFL merger? It's never going to work.
First concert I ever went to was George Strait. 2 years ago.
Now, that's not a bad concert to go to.
It was absolutely incredible. One of the best nights of my life. I was, unfortunately, couldn't hit the honky tonks, as they like to say, afterward because I wasn't of age yet. But great time.
You can always go honky tonk.
I didn't go to my first concert till like literally 2 years ago. I wasn't a concert guy. My concerts were sporting events. Like that's what I went. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I think for my age, I've been to like really, really good sporting events. Like I got a pretty good like log of events that I've been to, like all that stuff. Never went to a concert ever growing up.
What was it? Momentary Lapse of Reason Tour was that the one that I saw. 3 days from Selection Sunday again. Kraton plays tonight against DePaul. People will ask Mac, does it matter that you guys win? And he'll of course say, we're just here to get some run in. We're gonna get some guys some cardio. We're gonna go up and down the floor.
Gonna make sure the blood is moving before we head
we're gonna feed
Wichita.
We're gonna feed Kalkbrenner just so he proves that he should have won Player of the Year. We're just gonna up his numbers. Like he's gonna score 50, and we're as a team only gonna score 52.
We're just gonna try and get him more into the Big East record books than he already is.
Ashworth's gonna have a really cool vlog. Stephen Ashworth, after his Kraton career, post basketball career, will be fascinating.
He should go.
You know what he should do?
What should he do?
I know he likes Omaha. This radio station should hire him.
I've seen some Stephen Ashworth interviews. He is just he's a very well put together guy.
Yeah.
Like he just
one of us goes to LinkedIn.
Seriously,
we should find a way to keep Stephen Ashworth in Omaha and hire him at this radio station.
He's very well spoken, very smart guy. I mean, you can tell how smart of a guy he is by the way he plays basketball. Considering like he's playing in the Power 5 at his size, and he is incredibly effective. Like the guy's just good. There are some. You ever meet some people that are just good at life? They're just good at the game of life.
Sometimes people come along at the right time. Dana Altman came along at the right time for Kraton. Stephen Ashworth came along at the right time when a couple of guys were going out the door. Yeah, it's all about timing. All about timing. Mr. Risk Taker over there, Mr. Opportunist on the board today.
Hey. I've been very, very like scarce with how I've been betting. If I don't like bets, I don't bet them. Okay. Do you know what I loved? What? It's a bold strategy.
I don't like
Cotton,
danger.
Right?
If I see danger, I'm not going to walk into
exactly.
it.
There's been for the last 2 weeks. There's been a lot of danger on the board. Today, finally, stocks are going up. The S&P is rising. It's a beautiful board today. Just like Omaha plus 400 to win the Summit League was a beautiful bet. Just how South Dakota to upset North Dakota State was a beautiful bet. Just take the beautiful bets, and you'll be fine.
So you got the wrong idea with this whole podcast thing. You should just be doing a betting podcast. I would listen.
It's a beautiful bet. Maybe I sneak in a bet today. Maybe just Take 5 is all about my bets today.
Take 5 bets.
Take 5 bets.
Win 5
rename
bets.
It, just do it. It's March Madness.
Yeah.
Every day just give 5 bets.
5 bets.
Break them down.
Wait till he starts breaking down Pakistani cricket.
It's not like the Take 5 numbers are booming out of the YouTube right now.
Please act responsibly. That's what I need to add here.
1-800-GAMBLER.
3 days from Selection Sunday. It looks like Kraton is locked in 8-9. Omaha's played their way into a 15 to Cleveland. Today it's Tennessee in a lot of brackets as a 15 seed, which there was a discussion last night between a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He was telling me about the NCAA tournament that just be prepared because of your seed, you're not going to have the best hotel. Would you rather have a bad hotel in Wichita or a bad hotel in Cleveland?
Wichita, because I think
it gets
low, and I think the bar is low in Cleveland. I think Wichita knows that they got to keep people in Wichita for the economy. So I think the hotel is a little bit, the quality might be higher. Cleveland knows you're there already, you know.
They'll send you to Maize or Andover. It's very nice. They've really invested a lot of money. I think they have a Chick-fil-A there now. So yeah, you'll be good.
No, Cleveland's great for the family.
He also, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. You go down to Canton, the Football Hall of Fame.
Wichita has a nice zoo.
You know, Superman was created in Cleveland.
I was in Akron in November. That's where I think if Omaha goes to Cleveland, they'll put us in a hotel in Akron. But the other thing that he told me, he goes, there's sometimes teams hate being in the NCAA tournament in terms of their travel. And I'm like, excuse me?
What?
Because if Omaha goes to Wichita, they have to bus, which would be such a, and by the way, and it would not be the
Greyhound,
the Omaha bus, decked out with Omaha on the side where you know that the Mavs are coming, because the NCAA is in charge of travel. So you'd have to use an NCAA approved bus. He said, because there are, a lot of college basketball teams, the way they fly in luxury.
Yeah.
That it's almost a step down when they go to the NCAA tournament, because the NCAA is in charge of the travel. And so your nice private jets you've been flying in all year.
Whoa.
Yeah, you now all of a sudden are in some that may not be as nice.
# good problems to have, right?
Well, from an Omaha perspective, yes. But we do, like, in our private travel, we do have a very nice plane.
I mean, can you imagine Duke? Can you imagine Duke, though? Oh, my God, we don't go to – when we go to the tournament every year, we don't get to be on our private plane.
Quick story. This is how St. John's and Omaha men's basketball are connected.
Oh,
here we go.
Please do tell.
Both regular season champions of a college basketball conference.
You bought a white suit.
I should have known this on January 1 when we went to Grand Forks. So St. John's and Omaha shared a plane. And you know how we know that? Because remember, St. John's played here on New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
They delivered the food for the postgame for St. John's to the wrong plane. And so they put it all on our plane to go to Grand Forks.
All right. Yeah. Hell of a meal to go to Grand Forks.
Did you give the food back to St. John's, or did you?
No.
No, hell no. It was probably nice food, too.
It's a health risk.
But looks like Kraton 8-9. I saw Raleigh today.
They should be a 7.
Would you? So I don't really know.
Raleigh against Mizzou.
Is North Carolina is Raleigh, North Carolina, like a great place to
start? The triangle is
barbecue's
booming.
fantastic.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I thought North Carolina is kind of on the up and up. I've been to Hilton Head. I've been to Hilton Head in that area. I haven't been to North though.
A little bit south.
It is South Carolina. But
Cheer wine and vodka.
I'm just saying that area.
No, the triangle. The triangle is booming.
Mm-hmm.
But 8-9. Omaha looks like I will say that we're solid on a 15. But back to winning the Big East, like that would be funny because people go, "Hey, does it matter?" No, you know what? The regular, I would rather win here. I'll give you 3 options: regular season in the Big East, postseason in the Big East, or the second weekend. Second weekend is always number 1.
Yeah.
Regular season would be number 2. Unless you need to win the conference tournament, that would be 3, and it might even be a distant 3 because you'd be looking at playing 3 games in 3 days, and then traveling back. I don't know if you would stay overnight on Saturday night in New York City and then come back first thing Sunday and you go directly to the selection show, how you would do that. But, your body clocks and your recovery and all of that kind of stuff. But everybody's asking, well, what about the importance of winning? Yeah, if you're Iowa and you got to win 6 games in 6 days to get into the tournament, hell yes. But I could see, you know what? Hey, let's don't stub our toe against DePaul. Let's look good. Let's play crisp. Then we get the next one, which would be a high-level big game. Then maybe your opinion changes if you get to Saturday morning, you wake up and you go, hey, we're still here and we're playing basketball. But the regular season, number 1, or number 2, second weekend is by far number 1. So if you go, like last year, you go one and done in MSG, but you got to the second weekend.
Yeah, you're fine. You don't care.
But we didn't lose. We didn't lose to Providence, did we? Nah, geez, we don't care.
You're absolutely right. The only way the tournament is better than the regular season is how does it affect the second weekend. But the gap between the second weekend and those two are absolutely massive.
Well, that would be funny. Now we're just here to get some cardio.
Well, it's like, the guy who doesn't really care.
Eat some pizza, have a bagel.
Exercise.
The guy who doesn't really care picks up the hot girl at the bar that everybody's fawning over. Everybody wants to win the tournament. Everybody's, oh my God, I want it. And Crane's like, I don't really care. And then they end up winning it,
Is this sort of like a metaphor for the 07 college football season?
I don't know. I'm out of those days. I don't have to do that stuff anymore. They got apps.
Still pissed about Chase Daniel.
That's why, because they got apps.
Or sometimes you're in a relationship.
There you go.
All right, 2 hours to go. There is more to Kraton being in the Big East tournament today. Plus, we'll talk about a busy day of basketball. What is ahead? My man's big board.
It's a great board. Such a good board.
We need another board up there for this.
And more on Minnesota firing Ben Johnson at 1:20 this morning. And who will be attached to that? And will they have a local connection? We'll do that when we come back. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, Steve Sippel is going to join us. Oh, hello. Sorry about that.
Low-key good band song, by the way.
Who?
This song.
Oh.
For a marching band, after we got sent that last night from, not this song, but a high school band. It's really good.
Captain on the stream says first concert for me was 7th grade Kiss at the Civic. Garth at Exarban, Pink Floyd in 94 at Arrowhead. Oh man. Speaking of Exarban.
That was, by the way, that facepalm was like past headache hangover facepalm.
10 memories.
Like way too many drinks and way too long of a party facepalm. Like a long night just popped in the head facepalm. Do tell, please. I love this.
So speaking of Exarban, so I live in Exarban Village. I had to explain to somebody, one of our Utes of America yesterday, Exarban. Because as we were sitting in the Tal Anderson press box, you look into Stinson Park and they've got the spire, which, marks an area of the old racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
This person said, well, what's the stake there? And I said, it's not a stake. I go, there used to be a racetrack and a coliseum and it was booming.
Yeah.
A 3-minute conversation turned into about a 17-minute conversation explaining Exarban, and then the realization that it is Nebraska spelled backwards. Now, granted, this person is not from the area, but they could not, in their mind, figure out where the racetrack went. And I said, yes, there was a racetrack. It was booming.
Yeah.
When horse racing was, at the top.
In its prime.
And then there was a really cool coliseum where we, the USHL Omaha Lancers played, and the CBA Omaha Racers played.
And they just couldn't put it together that it was a big booming sport area.
And I said it went all the way. One of the entrances was at 72nd and Pacific, all the way to 67th and Center, and even further down. They just in their mind could not wrap around that a horse race track could be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then why would they tear it down? And I was like, okay.
Why did they tear it down?
How about that 15 seed Mavs?
Yeah. Was it
the iconic picture of the tornado in the 70s was from there?
Is it, how many times did you have to repeat yourself in that combo explaining all that?
Well, I was trying to watch this person process what I was saying. They just could not
fathom that something that big could exist in that area.
But essentially they thought that the racetrack was where Stinson Park is.
Oh.
I wish though down there, it's not DJ's. I think there is a restaurant, maybe the Thai place, that has an overlay of old Exarban and then what is currently there, so you can tell where you were at.
Oh, nice.
Like I think I live in one of the old parking lots to the Coliseum.
Cool. That is kind of cool.
But yeah, when Captain said he went to a concert at Exarban, I was.
Was it it was a real? I mean, I don't
was a real person. I was trying to explain.
No. But for me, I'm not really familiar with it. I'm probably more familiar than that person was, because I've been in that area. But it was a real poppin' place back
on the weekends. On the weekends, Exarban racetrack was packed.
That's awesome. That's cool. That's
and you know what? Hey, so as quirky as it was, and obstructed seats, when the Omaha Lancers were playing at Exarban Coliseum, and even the racers to an extent, it was great.
Oh yeah,
it was unique. It was very Omaha-ish.
Yeah,
but it was
a good time.
Probably got loud.
Yeah. It's a damn shame. I'd be there.
So there is someone that is
more educated
now. A future leader of America that now knows about that area. Yes. This is something from yesterday. Fong Wei says, I was not living here when Peony Park was open, but I've heard stories. I missed out. I missed out on the heydays of Exarban. I was living in Lincoln, at the tail end. I was not Ranch Bowl. I was not Peony Park. So I was not Omaha. But now I am.
Now you are. Now you're their favorite son.
Now I shop at that Walmart where the Ranch Bowl used to be.
And you go to that Costco and you look at other people's grocery carts and you go, where can I get that?
I walk around Stinson Park. I've once gone to the Fazoli's where Peony Park used to be. I've shopped at that Hy-Vee.
Yes.
So I'm.
You're just there. You're just around. But you just exist in Omaha.
But what we need is landmarks, though, because I don't think in that Walmart there is any reference to this is where the Ranch Bowl was. And other than it's on the marquee of the businesses where they're off of Cass, I don't think there's anything that says this is where an amusement park used to be.
People just know that Walmart is where a machete was.
So the Spire has Omaha, the horse, on the side of it, but it doesn't tell you that this used to be a relatively famous racetrack.
Do you think I've seen people go from like, they're very active. They want to be everywhere. They want to meet people. They want to talk to people. Then when they get a little bit older, they get into a cocoon a little bit. They got their people. They have, the people they like to talk to, their family. And then once they, reach a certain age, once they get, they get a little bit older, then they burst out of that cocoon a little bit and they start becoming more social and they care a little bit less about what people think about them. Do you think you're bursting out of your cocoon a little bit of like being more of a social butterfly, walking around the Costco, looking at the grocery stores, being like, hey, where did you get that? What did you do there? What used to be here?
I like talking to people. People get very uncomfortable when I start to talk to strangers.
when someone comes up to you and goes, push start or turnkey?
Good question. Good icebreaker.
Like people. I do think another facility here that no longer exists, I believe there is a tribute to where Sunset Speedway used to be the racetrack.
There's a lot of racetracks here.
Not as much as there used to be. I mean, I-80 doesn't exist. We had Sunset Speedway. Eagle Raceway is really in this area. I guess Pacific Junction.
No, I mean, that's what I said. It sounds like there used to be a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, well, Eagle Raceway has been like an OG. Sunset Speedway was fantastic. And then I-80 closed. There was one time, you're Mr. NASCAR guy.
Yeah.
So you know the racetrack out, the Iowa Speedway in Newton.
Sure.
There was a discussion. That exit in Ashland Greenwood there have been so many ideas for
Even
what
I've
that is going to be.
that.
So, so somebody once asked Trev, would you move Memorial Stadium there? Would you build a brand new Memorial Stadium off of that exit? There's a huge piece of land.
I'm sure that would have gone well.
Let's see. We were going to build an airport there so that you had an airport
that would have floated over like a lead balloon.
You had an airport between Lincoln and Omaha. Let's see. We were going to build a huge amphitheater there. Chip Davis was going to build an amphitheater. This is all since I've moved back to Omaha. And then there was discussions about building a speedway that could host Indy cars and NASCAR at that exit as well. And instead Rusty Wallace, because I think Rusty Wallace came and looked at the land and then he went over to where Newton, where the Iowa Speedway is now. And that's where they decided on. But that exit, we've wanted that thing to be so much. We wanted it to be Big Lake. I don't know if Big Lake's going to happen.
Is it going to? It's nothing.
I forgot about Big Lake.
I mean, it's just wide open.
Yeah, just land. Yeah. See that growing up in Chicago, when you headed, I was in the suburbs and I went to downtown enough, but not like all the time. And so we would take like field trips down there as a class, go downtown. And
like Ferris Bueller.
There was this big circle, this big just empty hole, right? Just in the middle of the loop. And you'd pass by it and you would be like, what is that? Like, what are they going to do? It's just a big hole in downtown. And they were like, that's where the tallest building in the world is going to be. We're going to build the tallest building in the world. We're going to be higher than the Burj Khalifa. We're going to make sure that we still have the highest building in America. That's where it's going to go. And for years and years, you just passed, but the hole was there. No one was there. No one was working. And then all of a sudden, they put a building there, and it was a hotel, and they just forgot about it. Like everybody forgot about the fact that everybody's teachers back in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade were saying, we're going to have the tallest building in the world right there. And then they're like, we don't have money. We're going to put a hotel. I mean, that's just city construction. You have these big, wonderful ideas, and then it's like, you know what? We're just going to put a restaurant there.
Joey writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. Gary, I've had this conversation with a friend of mine who is not from here as well. Their mind was blown when I showed him.
My mind is kind of being blown.
What was right Nebraska spelled backwards?
Well, so that happened to me. I think it took me about 6 months because I would meet people out here in Exarban at the DJ's dugout just to hang out because I had some Omaha friends out here. And I don't remember what I used to call Exarban, but I called it wrong. It was wrong. Like what? Axarban or Exarban. Like I don't know.
You maybe made the mistake that people in Wichita that might be welcoming Kraton or Omaha fans. We call it the Arkansas River. Down there, you better not say that it's the Arkansas River.
Is it?
It is the Arkansas River.
Oh, okay.
So that you extenuate the Kansas.
I think I was in the Ack because I'm from Chicago, so that's my natural instinct. I'm just Ack all the time. Whenever there's an A, I go Ack, But regardless, they told it to me, and I just looked at it, and I'm like, how did I not get that? You feel stupid. You feel like an idiot. You're like, how did I not? I felt like an idiot.
No, I don't think you should. I don't think it, unless you're from here, it doesn't dawn on you because you don't sit there and go, A-K, and do it backwards.
Well,
by God, I think that's Nebraska backwards.
My 10-year-old mind was blown when I found out that Harpo Studios was Oprah spelled backwards. I felt even dumber then.
Can you imagine if Harry Carey, who used to, Pete Rose, he would be like, it's Esor. Like if he dawned on him that he said Nebraska and he was like, Exarban. Oh, Nebraska.
Dijkstra spelled backwards as Arts.
Would you eat the moon if it was spare ribs? The simple question, Neil.
Hell yes, I would.
John Bishop does a great Harry Carey impression.
Brian writes in. He goes, I won a lot of money off of Who Doctor Who at Exarban. A lot of people that did.
It was so great. A couple days ago, I was making a bet, and someone was.
Of course you were.
Someone was standing in front of a TV, and they were watching the horse racing, and they had scratch on the game. Or scratch on the race, and they go, come on, two, and they started like whipping the paper like they were whipping a horse. I was like, man, I'm back to my childhood days of being in the Arlington racetrack with my grandfather. This is great. The nostalgia that I felt with that guy, just having everything on the two.
I was going to say, being whipped.
So just judging here by the old Twitter and responses to things in Omaha, even though now we're 1 million people, announced today.
Yeah, you can tell when you go on the highways, apparently.
1 million people live in Omaha. Was Omaha better back then than it is today with our venues? Because whenever we get into these discussions, the Civic Auditorium about concerts, Alan goes, my first concert was that Kiss concert that Don mentioned earlier at the Civic. Also Ted Nugent and Skid Row. Angry Banana. Loved Exarban, classic place. I threw an NWO t-shirt at Scott Hall and hit him in the face one night. First concert was Tool at the Civic.
Hell yeah.
Favorite concert ever, Earth, Wind, and Fire at Stir with Snoop right behind him at the same time.
Nice.
Oh my God, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Daz
that would have been a great concert. Angry Banana, I thought that was the name of the band. I didn't know that was someone you were
That was somebody who was very much against the Savannah Bananas.
Mm-hmm. Angry Banana.
Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins.
And also Chris Potassium.
Chris, who is in this industry, this is a little disappointing. Junction Motor Speedway in McCool is shut down this year.
I know this speedway.
So Eagle Raceway, Shelby County Speedway, and Harlan and Adams County Speedway and Corning are all that are left around the area.
Oh, yeah. McCool, they used to be bumping.
Imagine the insurance is pretty high to have a racetrack.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, racetracks are massive. They're huge. My former racetrack that I used to go to all the time is going to be my favorite football team stadium. So it's trending that way. Can't wait.
Did you bet on horses when you were young out there at Arlington Park?
Grandpa goes, Matt, pick a horse. He's like,
now we know where you got it from.
He goes, literally, my grandfather used to say, we used to think kids back in the day weren't very smart if they didn't know how to read a racing form. You are going to learn how to read a racing form and how many seconds to a furlong and what the practice marks have to be and what's a closer, what's a finisher, what's a pace horse, you know, what jockeys do we bet on? What jockeys do we not bet on?
Do you play a little dice?
It's his destiny. I'm telling you.
Are you on the corner playing dice?
I don't do dice. Because I can't. No, I don't like dice.
Or lice.
Hey, we bet on John Velasquez. We do not bet on Irad Ortiz in the McMaster household. That's a rule. When you walk in the house, that's the first thing that's said. It's like our live, laugh, love. It's like it's plastered on my dad's in his room.
All right. When we come back, let's talk some expectations and reality. And Jeff Goodman is tweeting this morning about coaches. Ben Johnson, Minnesota is out.
Jeff Goodman's tweeting about a lot of things nowadays.
Yeah, he got
and
hammered.
Rightfully so.
Tell you a little story of Jeff Goodman and how he deals with coaches and information. Do that when we come back.
Okay.
Scary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. I did not see the send-off or the sign-off of John Nicely last night on Channel 6 because I was watching Starch Madness. Did he cry?
I didn't see it. I was watching the KU game.
I was watching basketball.
There are so many people in this community that got to do the nicely done with him, or he used to challenge people to when he was a sportscaster.
He never came here? Been great. He'd fit right in.
No. Well, they have a partnership with another radio station. We're Channel 7 through and through. Matt, Lauren, Andy.
Shout out Andy.
Rob, Julie, Bill.
Great job.
Still have a morning show where they got the greatest schedule of any morning show on TV.
Matt Satilli, a little bit of a third partner sometimes in the Big and Max College Basketball World Tour.
Oh,
really?
Like he showed up to one game and then, but him and Bigelow too. It's like Bigelow likes going to college basketball games with Mats. It's almost as if like
so
the only person that Bigelow likes to go to games with is MATT.
The
Satilli or McMaster.
He
spins a wheel.
The KTV morning show, like very rarely are the people that are supposed to be on it together.
No, it's always
that's the show I watch in the morning.
Yeah,
but not all the time is everybody together. This is from Ben.
The way from Ben.
Yeah, it's from Ben.
Okay.
About concerts. Went to a lot of great concerts at the Civic. One of the best was 76 Pure Prairie League Open, followed by Kansas, followed by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh!
I bet
that's pretty
wonderful in there.
Yeah. There's a nice pungent tone of
JR, who
the Devil's Lettuce.
Also writes into the Equitable Bank inbox, went to Rod Stewart last night. Probably in Vegas?
Yeah,
likely.
Has to be, right?
JR's up. Yeah, Rod Stewart, 80 years old.
Lacrosse.
Yeah. Are they still trotting out Frankie Valli out in Vegas? Have you been seeing those videos on TikTok?
My dad went to see him.
It's awful.
He said
it's
it
terrible.
was creepy, but he's still
like
up there doing
corpse. He's like an animatronic when
he's
he
like
goes
Al
up there.
Davis.
Have you not fallen into the Frankie Valli old man TikTok?
No, I just like the hologram of Tupac.
Okay. Yeah, no, it is. Look up the videos. The Frankie Valli, like at 90 years old, like him trying to sing all the songs he beautifully sung.
So is Frankie Valli alive?
Yeah.
Yes, he's 90.
I mean, he looks good for 90.
He's performing in Vegas still. I think at least a couple months ago. It was. You have to watch the videos. It was scary. It was like he was a Chuck E. Cheese animatronic. Like he was in Five Nights at Freddy's. It was. Is Ozzy Osbourne still in Vegas?
Yeah, he's making one more tour.
Yeah,
I don't know how his voice is.
I think he's still fine. He performs a lot on Chicago News.
What? Like Man on the Street?
He will go
ABC 7 with Ozzy?
No, it will be ABC 7 at like 2 p.m. and Ozzy Osbourne will like just be performing on
what do you think
Chicago
the Cubs
News.
are going to do?
Yeah.
Does his wife still have a show?
Or not Ozzy. Donnie Osborne.
Oh.
That was bad. That was a bad moment. Donnie Osborne. Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
The quieter sibling
Joseph,
of the Osborne family.
Joseph and the Donnie, not Ozzy. Come on,
not
back
a sister
here.
Joan.
It was a mix-up. It was a slip-up. Donnie. Technicolor Dreamcoat. Really great musical actor. Still in Vegas. Still does performances.
Practically the same as War Pigs.
I got the first name mixed up. They have the same last name. And Ozzy and Donnie. It's hard to mix up. You kept going along with it. I thought you knew where I was at.
One has
I
one
was trying
spreading
to figure
their
out
wings.
why Ozzy Osbourne, who is, you said, hey, he's still doing well. And I'm like, I don't know.
No. That's when I knew. I was like, no. Donnie.
We're about to put in on the 18.
Yeah.
They couldn't be more different.
No, I know. No, I know. They are very opposite. They are very different. Very, very different. Very, very different.
Gian Greco and Ozzy.
Let me Mariano Rivera
News.
you. I'll finish this email from John.
Oh, great. The phone's
My
right.
senior high school project needed
accident.
to be. You could have confused.
What do you mean not confused? They have the same last name, and their first names both end with E. Donnie and Ozzy. I just said the wrong name.
Ozzy ends with a Y.
But they're both Donnie and Ozzy. Like they're very similar names.
We have one in here.
What?
I'm looking for a life preserver. All right. My senior high school project needed to be 5 minutes long. How to read a racing form. No notes were needed, and they cut me off after 6 minutes. Both teachers were horse owners. A+ grade. It's where I learned how to sell, know your audience.
Nice. Well, we had a caller calling in just to let you know that it is Donnie Osmond.
No, my bad. It's a bad moment. Anyway, he's still performing. I want to see him.
I saw Ozzy at the Ozfest when I was in high school. A little different.
I want to see Donnie Osmond. Be good. He still performs. He's on Chicago, ABC 7 a lot. I'm sorry. All right. I'm sorry. I'm a youngin'. I messed it up. All right.
You're about the time Donnie Osmond peed on the Alamo.
How about them Huskers?
Hey, Google Donnie Osmond. He once bit the head off of a bat at a concert in Des Moines.
Oh, like the animal.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like a baseball bat.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
It was crunchy.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, Donnie Osmond. It was Donnie Osmond, wasn't it, Jimmy?
Yes, it was. Oh, wow.
What did you think of Donnie when he was in Black Sabbath? Did you think that he it was a wrong mix as a guy that
He's
is
a
strong
singer?
Like a strong Mormon being in Black Sabbath?
Do you think he likes BYU over Iowa State later this morning? Be a good game.
He's a good singer. He's a good singer in Vegas. I enjoy it, and my mother's favorite musical is Joseph the Technicolor Dreamcoats. We watched that a lot. He was great in that.
Great nickname for Ben Coates.
Do you think Sharon gets is she still broken up over what's happened to Donnie?
Yeah,
probably.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, apparently Ozzy's is in good tune, and Donnie's performing. They're both doing well. Ozzy and Donnie. They should go on tour together.
I would laugh at this and bark at the moon, but I have no more tears. But just crossing the streams of these two individuals. It's a diary of a madman.
Yeah.
That's
okay. When you're committed, you'll be patient, number 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have no rest for the wicked.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
We can go over the mountain.
Now these are great one-liners here, just peddling into my funeral of confusing two very different artists.
You might want to call your parents after this little segment here and say, "Mama, I'm coming home."
Mm-hmm.
Probably. I think the outrage is going to be massive after this one. Probably my worst mistake.
Should build a crazy train instead of a
Jimmy,
streetcar.
what do you think if Ozzy was a devout Mormon? What would that have done to his life?
Piling it up.
Less drug use. So he might still be.
Keep throwing the dirt on while we're at it. I mean, I deserve.
We could get Ozzy on BYU TV.
Nature is healing. Jason Day, not so much. The TPC begins today. Scotty Scheffler goes for 3 in a row. Jason Day has withdrawn due to illness.
Oh no!
On your big board, wouldn't that screw things up?
If what? One of the teams?
Well, no. So I'm sure people have money on Day.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, it would screw things up on the big board. Absolutely. I mean, that would absolutely.
Do you have a TPC on your big board today?
I don't do golf.
Okay.
I think golf is kind of a crapshoot. I just, you never know. It could be anybody's weekend. I don't like betting, especially too, it's a 4-day ordeal. And I'll do it for the Masters, obviously, and all the major tournaments. It's just not, I don't know. It's like a future. I don't like having my money tied up in that. I'd rather, and I don't like placing a big bet and then on Saturday on a 4-day tournament or on a Thursday and a Sunday in a 4-day tournament. Doesn't matter. I'll do NASCAR though. NASCAR is a crapshoot, but NASCAR happens over 3.5 hours. I'll know the results right away.
Too bad about Jason Day. Just the injuries have hurt him. He's no longer an Iron Man. People get paranoid trying to put money on him because they don't know if he's going to win. And then, he's just an ordinary man and your money goes to the children of the grave.
I think that Jason Day is one of those guys where you're just making a lot lot of references right now.
Hey.
Or do you actually want to talk about Jason Day or do you not want to talk
Was
about
your
Jason
pig
Day?
in college a war pig?
It was a war pig. You know what? One thing they told me in college to avoid crack cocaine.
Mm.
And then I met this guy whose name was the Wizard and there were changes.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And then I was driving one day and it was in the winter and I was snowblind. But to get there, just like Matt, I had to take a shot in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of Perry Mason?
No, but I've heard of Mr. Crowley. Great guy.
He's on the road to nowhere, but we'll give him a sweet leaf. You can dream. You can be a dreamer.
It's going to be a moment that's going to live for way too long.
Oh, this Osmond song is a banger.
Do you think there was some uncomfortability when Kelly tried to get with Donnie, even though that's one of Ozzy's daughters? Now, I will give you credit. They both have done reality shows.
I don't think I deserve any credit for that. I don't think it was just a Freudian slip, and silence speaks volumes.
Maybe
I should
didn't
just
say
shut
Donnie
up.
Osborne and Coach O-line at Nebraska.
They're both great singers. I don't know what you want.
I love that. I love the reality show with the Osbournes.
It was good.
That was bat blank
Tony?
crazy. Tom?
A lot of them.
At least
Donnie?
you didn't. Well, you would have been closer. Instead of confusing Donnie Osmond with Ozzy Osbourne, you would have been closer to Tom Osborne and Ozzy Osbourne. Still a little bit different. I'm sure that they've put different things in their body. You know, hey.
They probably have. Probably two opposite ends of the spectrum.
On that note, we'll reset. We'll come back. We'll tell you about Jeff Goodman.
Yeah, that's what the segment was supposed to be about.
And why has the chatter about the Indiana job gotten so quiet from Jeff Goodman, who is pushing candidates?
Yeah.
Maybe we're on to something. And we'll go to Matt's big board.
Big board.
For the Indiana job. It's coming up next on Gary and Jimmy and Mike. 1620 The Zone. John writes into the Equitable Bank inbox, shouldn't Jason Day be focusing on Ohio State spring practice instead of golf?
That's a good one.
I wish, like, I'm okay. I've said goodbye to Tiger. I don't want to see Tiger playing in the U.S. Senior Open at OCC down the road.
Neither do I.
Thank you. I got to see. Thank you for giving us the 19 Masters. I don't need to see Tiger playing recreational golf on the senior tour. Jason Day is one of those guys that I still hold out hope that possibly I could get one more, because I really like Jason Day, but injuries have just ravaged his career. That was like he was taking off.
Yeah.
Now he's out of the TPC due to illness. And I know that I'm going to look at his odds deeply when it comes to Augusta in a couple of weeks.
With Jason Day, isn't he a little bit like some of these NBA players who have just been around for a really, really long time, and that you've seen them play really great golf and really good basketball, and it's just like he's been there around so long, and you've like made a connection with him, and it's like you're just hoping he gets one more run at it, even though deep down you know it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know you're a big Jason Day guy like this, by the way.
I like Jason Day.
I didn't know that's like a niche little like hardcore guy to root for, Jason Day.
Well, so I remember my opinion changed. So Jason Day was like a foil for the Tiger.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, here comes the next challenger.
Exactly.
And he wasn't as like media friendly as he is now. And he still doesn't talk to the media a lot. But now it's like my career, my body's been beat up. I don't give an F. You look how he dresses.
Yeah.
But I like enjoy watching him play. Texter says, what? You absolutely want to see Tiger at the U.S. Senior Open at OCC. The crowds would be nuts.
No.
To me, I have a hard time. I even have a hard time in the TGL watching Tiger, even though I do enjoy that, because my whole lifetime of golf was the great Tiger. And it's tough to watch him. I don't want to see him on the senior tour, just traipsing up and down the hills at OCC. I would go, but I don't know that that's for him. Go home, be a family man, take care of your son, watch his career grow. You've done so much for golf. You can still be around golf, but I don't want to see him out there struggling.
No, and I don't want the whole. Also, too, I feel like Tiger's legacy a little bit is being affected by the whole. Okay, he's gonna play. He's gonna do it. It's this week. Tiger's and then it's no. He's at 2 days before he drew out. I want to see Tiger once a year. I want to see him golfing with his son at Atlantis at that pro-am, the mother son, the father daughter, all that. I want to see him with Charlie there playing that. What is that called again? The title of that golf outing again?
Bring your son to work day?
Yeah, regardless of that. I want to see him there, and I want to see him when he hugs Charlie, when Charlie wins his first Masters. That's all I want, okay? I'm good with Tiger. I don't need a farewell tour. Just get to the podium, give a riveting speech, make everybody cry. We're good to go. Jason Day, though, might be one of the best players ever to only win one major. Like, in terms of consistency and results and wins, like, he is incredible. It's a little like Sergio. Like, you wanted Sergio to get one. Like, you want Jason Day to get one more.
Trying to look for okay. So future sites for the U.S. Senior Open. It's at Broadmoor, that great course in Colorado Springs this year. Then it goes to Columbus. It's at Oak Tree National outside Oklahoma City in 27. Crooked Stick in outside of Indianapolis in Carmel in 28. Prairie Dunes in Hutchinson. Which
I used to do a radio show from there.
Jim Colbert's course. Yeah, that's Jim Colbert's course, right? That's where Kansas State, is that their home course?
No, his is Colbert Hills.
Colbert Hills, that's right, my bad.
Also a nice course that Brian Doyle Murray plays often.
Spyglass at Pebble Beach for the 50th U.S. Senior Open. 2031 would be the next year that there is an opening possibly for Omaha to get back into the rotation of the U.S. Senior Open.
Yeah, by that time, I think the wheels will be off the bus there with Tiger. I think
55?
Yeah, it's done now. It's done now. He had 19, and 19, I think, gave a little bit of hope, that, hey, he might be healthy enough to like maybe be competitive in like 10 more majors and maybe get one more or maybe two more. But then COVID happened, and then the car accident happened, and the injuries happened, and it just kind of all went downhill. And the stamina, like people, I know but like it is a common like misconception that like golf isn't like a tiring sport. Like the stamina you have to play 18 holes with that type of pressure, with the mental warfare day in, day out. I mean, it is tough. It is hard. And like, he can't even go 4 days anymore. He can't even do it anymore. Can't even show up. Now he's got a ruptured Achilles.
Chris on the stream says, Tiger Woods, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. What is it that wants us to keep seeing guys play beyond their best years?
I agree. I totally agree with Chris. It's done. Have your good memories. Sayonara. Make a great retirement speech. Beautiful goodbye. We'll see you when Charlie starts becoming great.
Ironically, Brett Favre is trying to steer Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings.
I want that. I want him back in the division. I want this old, decrepit man back in my division. Make Minnesota worse. I want to see him get hit. I want to see him get sacked.
We can't quit to Aaron Rodgers. The NFL can't quit Aaron Rodgers.
I'll never quit Aaron Rodgers. I'll never quit him.
But the Steelers, who maybe for once value the quarterback position.
What are they doing?
They're valuing the quarterback position.
With Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers playing for a coach that he could not run over would be really interesting at the tail end of his career. Wow. He's never had that.
That's a great point. I never thought of it that way.
What would that do to him? And would all of a sudden the locker room concerns be different? And maybe you get one last reach of the glory. Instead of losing 9 games, you lose 8.
I would love to talk.
Sneak it right in there.
I would love to talk to the Steelers organization, someone in the Steelers organization, and be like, tell me what you really think about Justin Fields. Tell me what you really think.
I think that was a good pickup for the Jets. As long as he turns, hands it off to Allen one way, Hall the other, and they don't ask him to do too much.
I think that's the type of quarterback. He's a game manager who's super athletic. I think that's totally fine for him.
I think Aaron Rodgers has one more okay, and then that's
one more flick of the wrist. Makes it look pretty.
You never know. I mean, he's also going to be like a chip on the shoulder, but in a structure like Pittsburgh, what would Aaron Rodgers look like? Now they've had, Antonio Brown has just rolled through there. They got Pickens, so it has not been like, it's button up. But in terms of having a head coach, the Packers got good structure. Not all the time while he was there, but in terms of the head coach, he couldn't overwhelm Mike Tomlin.
No.
So I don't know.
I think Aaron is at the point now.
You got me ready for this.
Aaron is at the point now where the beauty about Aaron Rodgers is that it didn't really matter what was around him. He was him, and he was going to win the game. Whether it was he didn't have too many battle lines, but if he got flushed out of the pocket or they had a bad game, he could still hit it, right? He had really good wide receivers. Some years he didn't have great wide receivers. Like he would hit every single target. Like it was all about him. Now in his old age and his torn Achilles and his lack of mobility, he's the type of quarterback where you need a lot around him. You need a good O-line. You need good wide receivers. I would love to see the locker room, though, with George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and Aaron Rodgers. That's one interesting. You got Metcalf and Pickens trying to fight everybody on the field, and then you got Aaron Rodgers telling everyone about his political beliefs and going on McAfee every Tuesday saying that everything's okay when it clearly isn't. I'd love to see that with Mike Tomlin at the helm.
Mm-hmm. Jeff Goodman is not tweeting about Aaron Rodgers, even though, there's crossover. Schefter will break some basketball news once in a while, or Vinny Pasquantino will break Justin Fields to the Jets news. So Jeff Goodman immediately quote tweets after Ben Johnson fired at 1:20 this morning. Predetermined. They let him get back to Minneapolis, said, hey, come to my office. We're going to finalize this. We've already talked about it. Boom. It's not like on the tarmac. He didn't meet him out at MSP and say,
see ya.
So Jeff Goodman immediately tweets out, and this is not surprising because he was in the mix last time. They have a certain type of coach that I think Minnesota's attracted to. Craig Smith literally interviewed 9 hours for this job, and Craig Smith thought he was going to get this job, and then they hired Ben Johnson. So Nico Medved, who went from Drake to Colorado State, and Colorado State, all of a sudden, they've come back and they may make the tournament. So immediately Jeff Goodman quote tweets, I would expect Colorado State's Nico Medved to be heavily involved with the Minnesota opening. So Jeff Goodman, when the Indiana job opened, because his daughter goes to IU, he was pushing certain candidates, and especially TJ Otzelberger. And then Jamie Pollard over in Ames drops, hey, TJ's got a new contract. So he's gone really quiet. The Indiana job, and I mean, if Indiana wins today against Oregon, I think they're in at least as an 11 in a play-in game.
They're in.
So good on Mike Woodson. It's crazy. Coaches
is crazy.
Coaches at the end of the year that all of a sudden start winning games.
That Purdue win.
Tom Penders was like that in Texas.
That Purdue win. Talk about one singular game that goes a mile. Them coming back and winning that game did wonders for the rest of their season.
So the chatter around the Indiana job has gone really, really quiet. Brad Brownell at Clemson was asked about it yesterday. But Jeff Goodman is not tweeting about it.
He's not pushing anybody.
Minnesota, Virginia, Indiana are open right now. The Indiana job is an incredible job.
It is.
There is certainly a lot of money there. There certainly is tradition. There certainly is the fact that if you're not Bobby Knight, you've gotten fired there. But coaches are hired to be fired, or if they're not, then they're a special breed. Hell, even the guy that has revived the Big East, and I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, he got fired.
Sure.
Rick Pitino. And Jeff Goodman, a friend of mine, coaching major college basketball, or not low major, but mid-major college basketball, won a pretty important non-conference game a while back. Jeff Goodman slides into his DMs and he goes, "Hey, what's your contract? Who's your agent? I can help you. Are you looking to get out?"
Interesting.
Because he goes, "I can help you. I can generate." And there's a lot of coaches that have good relationship with Jeff Goodman and they share information.
Sure.
They're more likely to share information with him than they would like a local reporter. But Jeff Goodman all of a sudden was tweeting a lot about the Indiana job. But the Indiana job,
you think because the Indiana job has gone silent.
The Indiana job has gone really, really silent. So
is it locked
if the
up?
Candidate, I don't know. No.
Okay.
But a candidate would not be loose with the lips if they were in the mix. So with that said, the betting odds to be the next head coach at Indiana, Ben McCollum is plus 225. Brad Brownell is plus 500. Will Wade plus 700. Steve Alford to come home plus 850. The Vegas leader on the big board to become the next head basketball coach at Indiana, he is minus 200.
That is.
His name, Greg McDermott.
That is something.
So
that's
scary.
Very.
For the Big Ten.
I smell what you're cooking.
Lots of resources. Mac would be an incredible hire.
Oh, they love him.
Now, there's a lot of moving parts in all of this. Mac is a very popular coach because he's a top-tier coach. Okay? If you think about what Indiana could get, what they need, what Mac does well, it would be an unbelievable marriage for Indiana, and it would say to me that the athletic director knows ball and he's a smart person.
Absolutely.
But far from we got a lot of moving parts that are going on.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Yes, don't get on the message boards just
yet. It's the one thing of, the message, Indiana, I'm talking about this is the Indiana message boards want Mac.
Yeah.
So,
and they should want Mac, by the way. Who wouldn't want Mac?
He would do quite well.
So this is the part of, Kraton plays in a conference that's Power 5, okay? They play at a basketball school. They got an NBA arena. It's a good gig here. Is when you have a very good coach, people are going to reach out to him. But I think Mac is someone that, he was courted by Notre Dame, courted by Ohio State. But usually Mac is professional enough, and he does it the right way because he knows that if his name's attached to something, all hell breaks loose, and people are like, "Father, Marcus, what's going on? What are we doing?"
Yeah.
So he's smart. He's very respectful. But when things go quiet, I always wonder, okay, what's going on? Is there more than just the smoke? Is there the fire here? But whatever happens with this, the fact that Mac is at the top of the board tells me that Indiana knows what the hell they're doing, because that would be a scary move in the Big Ten with the resources for players, resources for staff, and the kind of coach that Mac is.
That style there.
But I find it interesting that Jeff Goodman, who was
pushing a lot of people, is now gone quiet.
And remember, Mac and Jeff Goodman, not that it's, but you went quiet and you're not talking about it as much to be respectful to all the parties involved. Just my observation. I don't know anything, but if you go to the Vegas odds, Mac is at the top at minus 200.
Vegas usually knows things.
I think people who, and you'll take, I think you did a great job there with that aspect of the betting odds and everything like that, and Jeff Goodman and everything that comes into actually finding the head coach and finding the candidate. I'll take it from this perspective, right? From the Kraton fan perspective, who's sitting here looking at the betting odds and seeing that not only is Mac a favorite, but a heavy heavy favorite according to the Vegas odds. You might say, why would he leave? Why would he leave Kraton? Well, number one, I mean, the amount of money that he would probably get paid to go and be the Indiana head coach is absolutely massive. A number that I don't know how many schools could ever really match that amount for a coach like that. Number two, yes, the Big East is a Power 5 conference and they get bids, but there is a difference between being a head coach in a league that gets 10 bids a year and being a head coach in a league where a lot of teams getting in from the Big East would be 5. There is a difference. There is an attraction to being more of a Big Ten head coach than a Big East head coach. And also, too, when you're looking at Indiana, they're a basketball school. They're rooted in basketball tradition. It is a basketball state, okay? They want to win. They are willing to give anything and everything to go and get the best talent and the best recruiters and the best coaches or whoever to win. When you put all of that together, why the hell, no matter how comfortable you might be at your current job, why the hell wouldn't you want to go there? Plain and simple. I mean, just everything kind of lines up for any coach, no matter who they are, to just go ahead and be like, that makes sense. There are very few jobs. There are very few jobs who you could deny, like Duke and Kentucky, and like, there are some special jobs you'd be like, no, Indiana, I'm good. But from where Mac is, I mean, no disrespect to Kraton, but that's the reality.
It's been very quiet around here. So when you have a top-tier coach, you got to expect it. People are going to knock on your door. And sometimes you open up the door and you're like, okay, what are you selling me? And you'll listen a little bit longer. Now you might say, hey, thanks for your time, and you shut the door. But I've followed coaching searches enough that when things become silent, there's probably more to it. But I know people, when they saw that yesterday, they put out odds, went, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
But just listen to some Indiana fans, and they will tell you that's our guy. It'd be scary in the Big Ten, definitely. All right, Steve Sippel, scary in his own right, going to join us in the next hour. Brian Edwards also along that line because he's a Florida man living in Destin. He's got picks for the rest of the championship weekend.
Yes.
We'll do all of that coming up next on Gary and Matt, 1620 The Zone. Jimmy, I'm about to warm your cockles.
Oh, I like having my cockles warmed.
Tradition. Do you think the Big Ten could ever be SEC basketball?
What do you mean, like
so
have this 14 teams in the tournament?
So this has been like a long time coming. Shout out. It's his birthday today. Garth Glissman, who former Nebraska backup quarterback, the pride of Waverly.
Shout out Vikings.
Radio guy, worked in the front office of the NBA. Love him. Friend for life. He is in charge of basketball for the Southeastern Conference.
He's doing a great job.
I will tell you, I'm going to drive to Lincoln whenever Troy Dannon retires or moves on to his next job.
Sure.
Garth Glissman should be the next athletic director at Nebraska.
Hold up a sign like.
But with that said,
stereo.
That's a long way down the road. But Garth, who happy birthday today, who periodically listens, he's in charge of men's basketball. Actually, I think he's in charge of basketball for the SEC, and the women are good as well. I mean, I guess South Carolina and LSU have. But men's basketball, it has been a process of really, really good hires, like hires at football schools where you go, kind of like a Fred Hoiberg hire. And I'm saying by the name. I'm saying by the name where you're a football school and you went from Tim Miles to Fred Hoiberg and you go, whoa. So the SEC,
I know exactly what you're saying.
The SEC has made some really, really good hires. And they've invested because their football has brought in so much money with the TV dollars. They've invested in men's basketball. So it has been building. And now they've gotten to this point where everybody talks about them ad nauseum. And we'll see what happens in the tournament. But they have, you could make a case, they have 3 teams that could win the national championship.
You can make the case. Might have 4. I mean.
But I'm saying.
No, I know what you're saying. They have elite level. Yeah.
Is there a, because Big Ten basketball, I mean, Ohio State's probably out.
They're done.
If Indiana loses today, it's an interesting weekend. But if they win, they're probably at least in the play-in game. And you'd be 9 teams seeded anywhere from like 2 to 6. And do you have a slam dunk?
They're praying Izzo does something again.
Yeah,
do you look at Michigan State the way that you look at either Auburn or Florida?
No, but Michigan State
is good.
No first or second team, all Big Ten.
It's crazy.
They went 17-3. So this may be the ideal team for Izzo to navigate 3 weekends of basketball. But the SEC has gotten to this point where from the opening tip at the first part of November to now, people are talking SEC basketball almost more than they talked SEC football. Ironically, SEC football in their world had a little bit of a dip. Could we ever get to a point in a conference that hasn't won a national championship since 2000?
When I saw Ozzy Osbourne in concert.
Yes.
It's true. It's a great year.
Did you see the
I looked.
I'm doing math, guys. I'm not really
Could
listening.
men's basketball in the Big Ten be like what we just saw, what the SEC is doing in a buildup? Or is there too much of a focus, and we don't have a Garth Glissman in the Big Ten, where too much of the focus is on making sure that football is king? And oh, by the way, the last 2 national championships in football have been out of this conference. It's kind of like, do you want to be good in both, but one's going to suffer, or do you want to be dominant in one and respectable in the other?
I think it would be, what's stopping the Big Ten from doing that, right? From making that investment? If we're being honest, not a whole lot. I mean, they make a lot of money. Like if they want to put more, investment and importance into basketball, they definitely could take those steps into encouraging those teams. Like, hey, go out and hire these top guys. Go and get these big coaches. Try and, use a little bit more of whatever funds you may or may not have to invest in. Like they could do that. It's just in their head. And this is the nucleus of all college sports at this point. What makes him more money, right? Like what makes you more money? And in the Big Ten's head, clearly it's football. So they're going to invest in football, and they're going to put all of their eggs in football and make sure that their football conference is as great as it can be.
So go back to a conversation. Who knows who they're going to hire at Minnesota? Minnesota's not going to hire Will Wade. Okay, they'll make a but look at this. So one thing that's happened in the SEC is some of the lower level schools have made smart basketball hires to raise the floor. Now you could have an open job at Iowa. You now have a job at Minnesota.
That's a great way of looking at it.
But also you will have one of your marquee jobs that is open at the top. So if you're the Big Ten, you have a huge interest in
what Indiana
Minnesota
does.
and Indiana making the right hire that can help keep you at the top, but then also raise the bottom, kind of like the SEC has done. When the SEC, like Vanderbilt, for example, they make a smart basketball hire in Mark Byington.
Yeah.
And look at Vanderbilt basketball is there to where they were with Jerry Stackhouse. They're in a much better spot. And I don't think Garth is like calling the AD and saying, okay, here's your list of guys. But I think iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
When the rest of the league is investing, that forces you. That's the
you
thing.
Best get with it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That's where Big Ten football, in my opinion, changed. Is all of a sudden Ohio State said, we're not messing around. Okay, so that forced Michigan not to mess around. Okay, you can't just slide by. Now, if you're Nebraska, if you're Nebraska's tier in the Big Ten in football, and you look at what other schools are doing, it forces you not to get lost. So it forces you to make right hires, recruit well, invest in the program, do all of those things so you at least stay where you're at, or there's a bar that you have to get to the playoff, which is the ultimate goal. I think in the SEC basketball, it has helped everybody that the lower level has gotten better, so the top level can't take nights off. That's like the Big East. The Big East is strong at the top.
Yes.
The Big East at the bottom has a DePaul, a Georgetown, a Seton Hall, even a little bit of a Providence. They need those teams to return, and that'll make the Big East even better than it is right now because it's pretty top-heavy with the teams at the top are pretty good programs.
Well, the thing is, too, is that the Big East doesn't get as many teams in the tournament because their wins within conference do not look nearly as good, and their schedule is not nearly as good as those other things or those other conferences. But with the Big Ten and the SEC, we looked at the SEC. Well, that's a football conference. They play football. They're the best at football. And then right under them, hey, you got the Big Ten right there, okay? 1 and 2. And this year, we've kind of seen the shift, at least, of, all right, maybe the Big Ten is catching up a little bit in football. But with basketball, it was the Big Ten, and then the SEC was right there. And so you would kind of flip in season a little bit where SEC's the king at football, Big Ten's under them. Big Ten is great at basketball, despite the fact that they haven't, had a national championship winner in a while, and the SEC's right under them. The forward thinking of Garth Glissman and the SEC and all these schools and how they've executed basketball at a high level. The forward thinking to say, you know what? What if we close that gap between basketball, the SEC and basketball and Big Ten? And not only just close that gap, we went ahead of them. We became the basketball conference. And so now the gap between us and them is greater in basketball than the gap between us and them in football. And so now you're looking at, hey, the SEC isn't just a football conference. The SEC is a sports conference.
That's a good one.
And I think also there's another part of what you're saying, Matt. There's some schools that flip their identity, like Auburn. Like Auburn has flipped their identity. Like Florida has kind of flipped their identity.
Yes.
Even though in Gainesville and Auburn, Alabama, Saturdays in the fall are much greater than Saturdays in the O-Dome or in the jungle. But you're like, okay. Now, because everything comes back to Nebraska because that's where we live. By the way, in a city of 1 million people.
No clue.
People have forgotten during the show.
How would it be? And Auburn football,
But Auburn football's taken a step back, but it's been boosted. Their sports department's been boosted by basketball being so great to the point where I have a friend of mine.
College World Series recently.
Yeah, I have a friend who who went to Auburn, and kind of during when he was a freshman, basketball was kind of there. When football took a step back and basketball was this, became this wagon essentially. Basketball games became it. It became the sport. It became where they wanted to go. You were excited for it. You were on the edge of your seat. And I think the SEC realized with these investments in coaching and rosters and scouting and recruiting, if basketball is great, people are going to come. Okay. People are going to be invested.
But at Auburn, where they made a right hire in Bruce Pearl, and they've gone through, football coaches from, the Gus Bus, because we're looking at the start of the COVID year, Auburn football has not had a winning season. And they went through Brian Harsin, who was a terrible hire, was a terrible fit. That's on the athletic director. Then they hire Hugh Freeze, and they're spending, like they're going out of business. Wait a minute, that's a wrong line. You don't spend money when you're going out of business.
You spent money. Now you are going out of business because you did.
But did the rise of Auburn basketball have an impact on football, or is that a crazy Matt McMaster type statement?
I think that
starting to think I know how you're going to warm my cockles.
No, I don't think it's a crazy Matt McMaster.
I know. I
don't
Big Ten basketball.
I don't think it's a crazy Matt McMaster statement because I think that Auburn recognized the value that basketball brings to the athletic department as a whole in terms of culture.
What if that happened in Lincoln, Nebraska? As much as we love PBA, could we take a 26-4 basketball season and we would take that and have to give up a 5-7, 6-7 football season?
And a second weekend team. Like they make the Sweet 16.
No. No.
So in Lincoln, it could never happen.
I don't.
Now,
in Lincoln, I don't think it could.
In Lincoln, football and men's basketball can be good at the same time.
They can.
You've seen it.
No, I'm not saying that.
I came out of the Husker womb in the 90s, and they were good at the same time. But would you take a run of 5 years of top-notch basketball where you sacrificed 5-7, 6-7? It's not just the fandom. It's the financials. It's the identity. It's all that goes into it. Because that's kind of where.
Do I get to know if football gets back on track after 5 years?
Well, you don't know.
Okay.
You don't know. But it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of optimism towards Auburn coming up into this year.
I don't think the reason why I just say no automatically is you have to look at the two programs side by side. We're talking about an Auburn football program that won a national championship and had one of the best rosters and captivating seasons nearly, just a little bit over a decade ago. They've had the constant football success, maybe not as of late, but still through the 2010s and have been competing in the SEC. I think right now with the state of Nebraska football and the fact that they haven't been competing at the top of the conference and they haven't had that football success, you need to have that football success first for Nebraska. So I think in this current state, no, I don't think anyone would give more basketball for less football.
But let me give you. Let me add to this comment.
Go ahead.
Let me throw something in there. You respond. And this is from a texter, is we've been dealing with 5-7 football seasons around here. Hell yeah, you would take a 26-4 number 1 or number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament where you just won the regular season in the Big Ten and everybody is talking about you.
But there's a difference between taking a season and a season and what you're referring to, what Auburn is, because Auburn is now closing the gap between a basketball school and a football school and changing their identity a bit. In terms of that happening at Nebraska, no. I obviously, you could endure one season of football being bad for one incredible season of basketball. But when we're talking about shifting identities, I think that the success of Auburn basketball, dating all the way back to, the 2000s, hasn't been there. I mean, they went from 2004 to 2017 without an NCAA tournament.
Okay, but we're right now. Let's just do a 5-year window.
Sure.
Okay. 5-year window of Auburn football, 6'5", 6'7", 5'7", 6'7", 5'7". Okay. So let me give you the 5-year window of men's basketball at Auburn.
Yeah.
Man, Bruce Pearl's been there for a long time.
I know. He has been.
The COVID year, 13-14. Then they went 28-6 second round, 21-13 second round, 27-8 lost first round. They're currently 27-4.
But the point is that Auburn hasn't had the basketball success in terms of the entirety of their program history. So them having this incredible 5-year run is new and it's fun and they haven't experienced it before, which is why I think they go, oh, this is great. Like we take this, like we've been great at football for so long and terrible at basketball for so long that this shift is needed because this is fun. People like, some people like basketball here. To see this team rise like this is great. I think the current state of Nebraska, who hasn't had that football run that really warms your cockles and feeds you, I don't think you can have that because you need to. That's the one thing about Auburn. They can have this basketball success and forget less about football or forget more about football because they've had sustained football success.
All right, Jimmy, let me warm your cockle here.
Here we go.
So everybody's talking about SEC basketball this year, and they could get how many teams are in the conference? 16?
16.
Yeah. They could get 17
16.
teams in the conference.
Yeah.
Okay, they're just going to go grab somebody, and they're going to bring them along with them. I just want to remind people, all you Southern honks out there, that I just gave you some love. Do you guys remember? You weren't even born. This is why I'm warming Jimmy's
2000.
cockles. The 88-89 Big Ten season. That season in the Big Ten Conference.
Shout out to Andrew Gaze and PJ Carlissimo, by the way. Not in the Big Ten.
By the way, 2 Final Four teams, Michigan and Illinois. The national champion in Michigan. 27 NBA draft picks out of the 88, 89 Big Ten season. Let me just throw out some names for you.
There are some names.
Like Terry Mills, Glenn Rice, Vermeil Robinson.
Won the championship.
I mean, an Iowa team that I love, like had Ed Horton and Roy Marble. I mean, it was Trent Jackson was at Wisconsin. Jay Edwards was the player of the year at Indiana. Stephen Barton was in the league. Eric Anderson was in the league. Nick Anderson from was playing in Illinois. Jay was the guard, Ohio State. Burson was the guard at Ohio State. I mean, they had that.
Guys,
the 88,
it was fun basketball, too. High scoring.
The 88-89 Big Ten season was an incredible season.
Flying a line.
5 of the 10 were in the Big Ten tournament when it was tougher to get in. There was less teams that were in the tournament.
Sure. No, that's exciting. And to have that, and don't get me wrong, like I think Rutgers, them not being successful this season really hurt the Big Ten because, man, it would have been great to have these 2 top 5 draft picks at the top of the conference, at the top of the NCAA tournament, showcasing, hey, this conference can get top guys that are going to be superstars in the future. Here you go, put them on the stage. Mm-hmm. I think they definitely hurt from that. And it's better just in general, even if you're not a fan of that specific team, when there's a ton of talent in your conference. And so, the investment in that from the SEC has been incredible because there is a ton of talent in the SEC and it is super competitive. Now, are they going to get 27 draft picks all out of that with superstars in the NBA? Maybe not. We'll see. I mean, there's some young guys, but there definitely are some older teams. That's neither here nor there. Like, leagues benefit from having, and this isn't a hot take, leagues benefit from having stars. And leagues benefit from having competitive conference tourneys and competitive just regular seasons. Yeah. And like the SEC has decided to invest in that. The Big Ten has decided to invest in football.
And this is a great text from JD, and then we'll take a break because we got Sip coming up. This is a spot on. Here's the bigger issue with the Big Ten with its stuck-up attitude, who they hire, and how it looks to the rest of the league. Bruce Pearl breaks every rule, gets a show clause, immediately hired by Auburn. Chris Beard had a rap sheet of allegations against him. Ole Miss says no problem. Hugh Friesen is cheating at Ole Miss. Auburn again says, I can look past that. The Big Ten doesn't do that. JD says they need to start. Who cares how it looks? Hire the best available regardless of baggage. Yeah, and Will Wade is he'll like sitting on the doorstep of an SEC job opens. He's coming back into the league. It's a great
it is a great take. And just win, baby. Just win. Don't matter.
All right, Steve Sippel's coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, as the weather warms up, our next guest is fully in bloom. Probably has banged his head to some Nirvana in his lifetime. We welcome in Stephen M. Sippel from on3.com, Oscar Online, and 93.7 The Ticket. Good morning.
Hey, guys. How are we doing?
Good. How are you, Steve?
Good, Steve. How is your day going?
What is this? This is a third grade assembly. We have to say hi to the guest. Good morning.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just, it's cordial.
I think our generation kindness was more of a thing. So, yeah, we have to say hi to each other.
Are you calling me mean, Steve?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No. Gary just happened to be from a better time generation.
That's what I've been telling
man.
people.
Thanks,
25 years ago, life was so much easier, Sip. 25 years ago, we were kicked back at State Fair Park betting on horses.
Oh.
Better time.
Yes.
Can I go with you?
All right. Also better times back then was Danny Nee was rolling until that one night at Kemper Arena after a Big 12 conference game when Nick Jones was trying to say, hey, the future looks good. And Danny looks at him and goes, we're done, Nick. It's over. We're not coming back. To nowadays, after not making the conference tournament, and because you talk about this on your radio show, you guys talk about it on your video stream, which I highly enjoy. You do a great job with Sean and Robin. So Nebraska basketball is a topic. Thank God there's passion. People want it to be successful. As you look at and your long history of covering the sport to where we are now, how far apart is reality and expectation when it comes to Nebraska men's basketball?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. That's a great question, Gary. It's great to me. Why do I like that question? Because it points up why I don't like Nebraska basketball. It's such a game of mental gymnastics that it's excruciating.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like a bottom line world, but we don't exist when it comes to Nebraska basketball. We don't exist in that world. I don't even know how to answer the question. I will say this, I will say it because I say it all the time and people are tired of it. But since you asked, the expectations for Nebraska basketball are exceedingly low. I mean, really low. I mean, I don't even know how to. You can characterize it in a variety of ways. One, for instance, is we just throw out Fred's first 3 years, which there's no other place in the world where a coach gets that much grace.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben Johnson just was fired at Minnesota last night at 1 a.m., I guess. After 4 years, could he put his palms up and say, hey, wait a second, why do I get fired? Don't I get 3 years? I mean, this is really my first year here. I don't know. Yeah. I just think the expectations are low. None of that's Fred's fault. I mean, I want to make that clear. That's not Fred's issue. That issue has been building for all of my life. I think in my mind, it's sort of reached a crescendo now, but it's been building for 53 years that I've been following it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, people are just like, for instance, just happy to win an NCAA tournament game. That's judged at Nebraska as incredible progress, and it is. But at most places, that's met with a yawn.
Yep.
The other thing, because Mike Schaefer I just want to say one more thing, because Mike Schaefer and Schaefer's great. He made a great point today. He made a great point. I never thought about it. Nebraska basketball is a one-of-one program. You can't really compare it to any other program. It's on its own island.
Yeah, and I saw that, and Schaefer had a good conversation with people that responded to him, and sometimes Nebraska basketball can be exhausting. Even last year, and part of that fun year where we were on the ride, there were reports where it was exhausting. But the discussion about the sport and the expectations and where this program is going is, do we know, are these fan expectations or are they internal expectations? But the question becomes, when do you think Sip, and this is adding to your point, and I'm nodding in agreement, when it was just tourney win or bust? I mean, why can't we be, hey, why don't we build our team to get to the second weekend instead of, oh my God, just win a tourney? Because we made the transition to tourney win or bust. No, I would like to see a point where, you know what, we have a team that's built, regardless of matchup, we could be a second weekend team.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong?
There's nothing wrong.
What's wrong with stating that as a desire? You get a lot of backlash for that. Because here's the backlash you get. God, I mean, this is why I don't like these discussions. They drive me crazy. The backlash is because it's never happened here. Why would you expect it? That's so
weak.
It's such a defeatist. There's so many of these conversations are so defeatist. It's no wonder the program has struggled. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's where this is where I give Fred a lot of grace. I think you asked the question, where's the problem? It starts to feel more and more to me like it's an institutional problem. That if Fred doesn't have enough NIL money, for instance, which I don't think he probably does.
Mm-hmm.
If there are just certain players that aren't available to Fred because the NIL outlay hasn't been sufficient, that's more of an institutional problem. Now, it's not completely an institutional problem because the head coach is ultimately responsible even for a lot of that. But I just sometimes think this has been more institutional than head coach. I've sort of come around to that line of thinking.
Well, Steve, so we say the term, right? When you have long-term lacking of success in sports, we go, it starts at the top. But couldn't you argue now with the changing landscape of college or just college sports in general, with money and general managers and all this, moving that we're doing with cash, where is the top? Is the top of top of the program Fred Hoiberg? Is the top of the program the athletic department? Because it used to be the coach. Now where do you think that exists now?
It's a really good question. And what's beautiful about your job and our jobs is I think we have a big responsibility right now. Things are evolving really quickly, and it's our job to kind of take a deep breath every day and try to size it up. And that's the kind of question that we have to size up. It changes so much. It's such the NIL part of it has thrown such a sort of this sort of complicated, I don't know. It's thrown a complication into the overall discussion. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it's really frustrating because a lot of it you don't even know. For instance, you don't really know what Fred had from a war chest standpoint. You don't know the exact number, right? You don't know you don't even really know what guys are making except just what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
So see the problem? We're trying to discuss something and get answers, and we don't even know some of the particulars that matter a lot. That's why I always use the term with Nebraska basketball. It's mental gymnastics. I prefer this kind of a world where it's a bottom line. I don't want to hear all this stuff. I just want to know if the coach in his 7th year gets an NCAA tournament win. But you know what? I got cornered by a guy today after my show who made some pretty salient points about why you can't really look at it that way and why maybe his hands are tied a little bit. And you got to have more grace because if certain players aren't available to him, then what? So I don't know. It's a hard discussion.
Yeah, and that's, after a fun year last year and the way that it ended with a thud, it is an exhausting conversation. But it's almost a conversation that there needs to be more transparency and it's okay to put some things out there that make people feel uncomfortable so we understand the situation better. Let's shift to football. Yep. Speaking of not uncomfortable, but to me, very curious. And, Matt Rule is, I wouldn't say calculated, but there's always a reason for what he says or what he does. Did you find it interesting that the three people that were available right after him on Tuesday were guys that might still be getting mail that has a forwarding address on it? And Rocco Spindler, Dane Key, and Deshaun McCullough. Do you think that was something of interest to show you, peel back the curtain a little bit on the 25 football team?
I didn't think of it that way. I do think that Matt, just about everything he does there's a reason. Now, but I don't know if that was it. And I didn't think of it in those terms. The way I thought of it was, those are the three transfers that probably would have the biggest impact today, right? I mean, with the exception maybe of Williams and Winery, but I think he's more of a wild card because he hasn't really done it. These guys have all done it. He's done it he did it for 3 years at Kentucky, put up pretty good numbers for 3 years. Spindler Rocco started 13 games for Notre Dame this year, 13 games this year. McCullough is ready-made. He's ready-made. I mean, he's going to be a factor, a major factor. So, Gary, that's the way I thought of it. I didn't think of it. I didn't run very deep on it. That's how I thought. These are the three guys that are most likely to have a big impact.
Yeah, it's interesting when new guys show up, their perspective. I just thought that was, I enjoyed that, from peeling back the curtain on what's going on. And and when I pose that question, it's not a negative. I'm like, okay, those are also three guys that, would it surprise you that two of them are full season captains? So just kind of, I think it's, no, I think Rocco Spindler, that's not his goal, but you can see that people will follow him. I mean, those are three guys that when I hear him talk, the young room that they're in, people are going to be following them. So
God, yeah. They're men. I mean, that's what I always say about covering college sports is interesting, Matt and Gary. It's interesting because you're covering some of the guys that first come in are they're boys. Okay, they're young men at best. Sure. These guys are just men. I mean, that's what you're dealing with, and that's what you're talking about. And I thought the discussion was very. I mean, if you're looking for reasons for optimism, I thought the biggest reason was what they talked about, their winter conditioning drills, the mat drills. Rocco standing up there and saying, "We didn't do anything like this at Notre Dame." I mean, this was difficult. Dane Key saying virtually the same thing. We didn't do anything like this at Kentucky. That was very. For some reason I saw it as encouraging. It was very. I always think of Rule. Well, what I like about it is that program's not for everybody over there.
Sure.
But it's for guys that are tough. That's good. That's a good thing. I mean, there's certain programs some guys just can't play it. That's the kind of program I want here. And that's apparently what Rule's doing over there.
Steve Sippel of Husker Online joining us here. Steve, I think when we look back on Matt Rule's days in Carolina, they're a little bit taboo, right? Because it just didn't go well. And we kind of want to forget about that, right? But do you think we're underselling maybe the benefit that this program has had from his experience in the NFL, considering the era that we're in of adapting to things?
Yeah, I do think it gets undersold a little bit. And I think you're right. You don't want to go there too much because he was run out of town.
Yeah.
I mean, he was run out of town, fired. It was a rough one. Like, it was a rough firing. And now what I say about it, though, Matt's a little different. I look at it a little different.
Sure.
I look at it, Matt has talked openly about it and how I think it drives it. I mean, I don't think Matt at age 50 wants to be in a position where he was judged an utter failure at Carolina. He doesn't want that back-to-back for legacy purposes, for whatever. So I almost think it is beneficial to Nebraska because he does seem determined to do whatever he has to do to make it work at Nebraska. And you know what I just said is big, because whatever you have to do right now in college football, that's a lot. It's hard. It is a hard job right now to be the head coach anywhere, particularly at a Power 4 school with high expectations. And Nebraska, he's reached the point now where there's pretty high expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, people are 8-4 is about as low as people probably want to go this year, right?
I'd say so.
Well, that's pretty high. I mean, that's not going to be easy in this world. So, yeah, I do think, and I think what you're referring to a little bit is he was in that pro world, and now we're in a pro world.
Yes.
He went into another pro world. You got North Carolina with Belichick calling itself the 33rd NFL team. Some schools are just making no bones about it. We're in the pros now.
Well,
and so I think anybody who's coming from the NFL as like a head coach to this world, they have certain advantages.
Well, hiring Pat Stewart and the discussion on Tuesday, Nebraska is in the NFL world, and that's it. That's what everybody is doing. You have to do it nowadays because that's what we've become. It's at least you're out in front and you're not running away from it. You're embracing it, and you use your institutional knowledge of what it was like in the NFL with NFL people to come in and implement a college NFL world colliding together. I mean, I think Matt Rule's staff is in a better spot than a Nebraska staff, top to bottom, on the field and off the field, has been in a while at Nebraska.
Well, yeah, I hope you're right. I don't. I've kind of.
They have to be.
Quit thing where I sign off until I see it.
Yeah.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Sip, I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Don't do too many crazy stuff on celebrating St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, well, I see you at McKinney's.
No.
Well, I see you in O'Neill.
I'm going to say no.
That's a tentative.
But there's always a possibility.
You're telling me there's a chance.
Thank you, guys.
That's Stephen M. Sippel of
always best.
On 3.
Husker Online.
93.7 The Ticket. All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back. Brian Edwards will join us. I always like this. Now our new Thursday lineup, we go Sip and Brian Edwards back to back.
It's pretty solid. We go from very tamed and awesome Nebraska conversations to degeneracy, and I'm all here for it.
You're going to share your board with
I'm sharing my board. Oh yeah. You kidding me?
I'll just, I will be a listener on the next segment.
Let's go.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's have it.
It's coming up next. Before we get to Brian Edwards, quick note. Kraton is looking for a basketball coach.
What did you do?
Really?
An assistant basketball coach. Ryan Miller has taken the job at Murray State.
I read it a little bit ago, so I knew.
Ryan Murray is off to the Missouri Valley Conference.
Well played.
With that said, let's welcome in our Vegas insider, Brian Edwards, who's got a busy stretch coming here. Is like early Christmas. He joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning. You have a busy stretch too. You got to call an NCAA tournament game.
Hey, yeah. We're looking forward to it. I just hope maybe Cleveland, maybe Tennessee and Omaha play.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I saw Wichita was a possibility with Joey Brackets against Texas Tech as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of options out there, but you know what? They're in the dance. I'm going to turn it over to my partner, who says today, he's looked at his board.
Brian.
He is so excited for 9 games. Now, some of the games that you like and he likes match up.
Brian, I woke up this morning, and you and me, two birds of a feather here. I wake up this morning, the first thing I do is pick up the phone and I look at the board, okay? And the last couple of weeks, the board has been a little bit dry. There's only been 1 or 2. I woke up today, Brian. You got to agree. This is a great board. Ain't it a great board?
It is a great board. Oh, man. We've got basically all the best teams in the country are playing.
Exactly.
Well, we get that every Saturday, but yeah.
This is so we are in congruence on 2 picks. So I want to talk about it. Arkansas plus 4.5 against Ole Miss, and Oregon -2 versus Indiana. Give it to me.
All right, so let's talk about Ole Miss first.
Yeah.
So they have lost 4 of 6, 3 by double-digit margins. They're mired in a 2-10-1 against the spread slump. As for Arkansas, they've won 3 in a row and 8 of 12. They've really been playing solid ball since the start of February. Now, in the head-to-head during the regular season at Bud Walton, Ole Miss won 73-66.
Yes.
But that was January 8th when Arkansas got off to that bad start in SEC. I want to say 0-5. They're a lot better team right now. And during the 12-game stretch where Arkansas has won 8 of 12, they're 8-3-1 against the spread. But if you bet the Arkansas side early, like the morning of or on the overnight line, you could easily be 11-1 against the spread or 10-1-1 because they lost by 8 at A&M as a 7.5-point dog, but they were 8.5 the day before, the night before, and that morning. And, they just beat Mississippi State by 1 as a 1.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting the other. There was another one they lost by a hook, but it was yesterday, actually. Was a loss.
Yeah, it depends. So I bet it on the early side, and I got it. But if you bet it on the late side, you didn't. That's a good call.
Yeah, I had Arkansas -3. It was the winner for me yesterday.
Yeah.
And by the way, what in the world
was he doing? I know.
Hey,
that's a discussion for another day.
But do you think there's a little bit that maybe he was covering for the player?
No, there's no chance. Because
it was a bad.
He told Davis to miss it on purpose.
All right.
Davis always dribbles before his free throw. He didn't take a dribble, and he shot it off the backboard first. And look, it's a great move when you're up 1 or 2. The opposing team does not have a timeout, and there's less than 3 seconds. You're supposed to do that. Not when you're up 3 and can go up 4.
All right, so Cal deserves the next Purdue chicken that he eats not to be good.
Yeah.
And then the Oregon playing Indiana. Indiana kind of needs this game to secure themselves in the tournament, right?
Urgency does not translate into success.
Ah,
nice.
That's a great line.
I like Oregon here. Now I understand that we're dealing with basically a road situation in terms of crowd noise, but then again, all the other teams in the Big Ten probably hate Indiana. They'll probably be rooting for Oregon.
Sure.
So who knows on that? But look, Oregon has won 7 in a row, including beating Indiana by 9 last week, albeit at home. But look, the Ducks, they're 7-4 on the road, and they won neutral. They're 4-0 on neutral. They beat A&M 17th at Ken Palm. They beat San Diego State 43rd. They beat number 6 Alabama and number 83 Stanford, all Ken Palm rankings. They beat all them on neutral courts, and they have 7 road wins. So even if it is a home Indiana crowd,
I'm okay with that. Look, Indiana's playing good too, 1-4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I think Oregon's the better team, and I like the Ducks.
One that caught my eye here on your board, the Duke over against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's minus 20, or it's a plus 23 for Georgia Tech in this one, but Duke has been dominating the ACC.
Yeah, I'm going to go Duke's team total over 82.5. Now, Georgia Tech has not given up that many points very often this year, but last 7 games, now 2 of these actually fall under 82.5, but last 7 games, Duke has scored 82, that's one of the unders, 93, 100, 97, 110, 80, that's another under, and 106, but they average 83.5, and I just don't want to lay 22.5, and I kind of want to back Duke. So I'm going to go team total over 82.5. Not a huge opinion, but a little early action. Nothing too major amount-wise, though.
And then we got another game here with 2 teams with Texas A&M. And Texas A&M is in the tournament. Texas kept their season alive yesterday. They go at it in the SEC conference tournament. What do you got there? What are you looking for in that game?
Over 139.
Okay.
Which, looks like that's still the line. The over's 10-1 for Texas in its last 11 games. But since the total's 139, I'll point out this factoid. Texas has not had a combined score of less than 139 since playing Missouri January 21st. And although A&M is an under team, 19-12 overall for the year, the over's 4-1 for the Aggies in their last 5, and those 4 overs had 155, 159, 170, and 146. Now, when they bet in the regular season, they hit right at 139, 70-69 game. But I like the over 139 Aggies Longhorns.
The interesting about these conference tournaments, these big conference tournaments, is that you have a lot of these teams that are kind of flirting on the bubble, right? They're flirting on the line of if you can win, you're in. If you're out, or if you lose, you could get out. One of those teams, Oklahoma, takes on a really good Kentucky team. What are you looking at there?
Yeah, I like Oklahoma here. I see there's 1-7 out there, but I'm okay with 6.5. Oklahoma played really well last night, against a Georgia team that had a 6-point lead and had won 4 in a row, had a 6-point lead with like 8:30 left, and Oklahoma responds with a 16-0 run.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's in revenge mode. They coulda, woulda, shoulda beat Kentucky February 26th. They lose on a last-second shot by their former player, Owe. They lose 83-82, but Oklahoma has covered in 6 straight. And they've played really well 6 straight games. They beat Mississippi State by 6, lost a heartbreaker to Kentucky, lost a heartbreaker by 3 at Ole Miss, beat Mizzou by double digits, won at Texas, and then beat Red Hot Georgia. So I like how Oklahoma's playing, and I really like how Jeremiah Fears is playing right now. He was even hitting his threes last night, and he's not that great a three-point shooter. So I'll go Oklahoma plus 6.5.
One game that I liked on the board, I didn't love it because Iowa State isn't playing their best basketball of their season. They're beat up and they're still good, but at the same time they're not at the peak that they were earlier in the year. BYU is plus 3 in this one. Make me love it. Where are you here? Where at you here, Brian?
Well, I don't love it.
Okay.
It's a play. It's not one of my bigger plays today.
Okay.
I mean, BYU's won 8 in a row, and they just won at Iowa State. And Iowa State's 2 key players are game-time decisions, Cameron Lipsey and Keyshawn Gilbert. Gilbert has missed 3 of the last 6 games and only played 11 minutes yesterday. Lipsey averages 10.8 points, 3.2 assists, 2.1 steals per game. Gilbert averages 13.4 points, 4.1 assists, 3.5 boards, 1.7 steals. And those stats are dragged down by his limited minutes here the last few weeks. Those stats were better, 4 or 5 weeks ago. But anywho, I like BYU. I mean, they're playing lights out. I love their alpha dog, best player. I love their coach. I mean, you're going to get out-coached most times against Iowa State. I don't think they'll get out-coached today. And BYU's healthy, and the Cyclones aren't. And the Cyclones are struggling regardless. So give me BYU plus the 3-ish.
Hey, real quick, before you get out of here, what do you got for Mizzou versus Mississippi State?
I had Mizzou against Mississippi State in Starkville, and Missouri, I don't think I've ever seen Mississippi State take a pimp slap like that at the hump. They lost by, I think it was 27. Now, Mizzou struggled here down the stretch. They've lost 3 in a row. But, I mean, they've lost to good teams. Actually, not the best in the SEC. At Vandy in overtime, at Oklahoma and Kentucky. But everybody outside of LSU and South Carolina. And South Carolina's tough at home, although the season's over now. But Mizzou is still very, very dangerous. And I think they get right tonight. Give me Mizzou -3.5 to Mississippi State.
Love it, love it, love
it.
it.
Great stuff. Always appreciate you. Next week will be a lot of fun. We'll be into the big dance, and before the Thursday, you'll be with us before we tip off.
Thanks, gentlemen. Y'all have a great weekend.
You're the man, B.
That's Brian Edwards. We'll compare tomorrow. B's board and your board.
I love
our boys growing up.
I love the board. It's a Xavier +2. I mean, urgency does equal wins, Brian. That's what we're going for when they take on Marquette.
You had Freeman and a double-figure favorite against Archbishop Bergen. Right now, they're up 12 in that game at the state tournament. They
still got a lot of time to play, though.
No. High school basketball flies. 8-minute quarters.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they're already, like, you could play a high school game. This game started at 9. They're about ready to go into the fourth quarter.
Wow. Yeah, they'll be done before the crossover, I guess.
Yes, they will. Yeah. All right. Good luck to you today.
Hell yeah. I'm going to be useless. I can't wait.
I think you're useful to something there. No, I want to see how this turns out.
I am useless. We're putting the board on take 5, too.
Kraton DePaul later tonight. Ryan Miller to Murray State. Mac may have the largest coaching tree in college basketball right now. Discuss amongst yourselves. Crossover's coming to next. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6 on Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.